Hello. Hello, beautiful. Thank you for the onigiri. Alright, so today we're gonna do another one. Thank you. We're gonna do a bit of lazy shiny hunting. You're not a stalker? I believe you. I definitely believe you. Alright, so currently, these are the shiny boys I do have. Oh, this one's cute. He's a little baked bun. The normal one is like a lighter color. That's just a baked puppy. Actually, let's look at all of them. We've got Poink, the pig oink, the pink oink. Yeah, I can't word. And then we've got Mudbray. I got this from Ray. Because he just randomly came across it. I don't remember what I traded him for it. I know I gave him something. And then I caught 2 Magikarp. Because look at that beautiful shiny boy. I'm gonna evolve one into a Gyarados. Not sure which one yet that I want. Because one's male, one's female. I got Azurill! I got 2 of them, but I'm gonna evolve one of them. So there's the other one. Because it had a like, title thing. Why does that look edible, the puppy? Truly it does. What was the title? Oh, the Sleepy! I was kind of sleepy when I was doing this, so that's the one I'm gonna evolve and use for battles. And then yesterday I was shiny hunting this motherfucker. Oh my god. All of the like Paradox Pokemon, very simply, at least in my game, look like they've had their paint stripped and all they have is the LED lights working. So yeah, I got a couple of those. I got a Slowpoke, just randomly. I know it's impossible to tell that it's shiny, except for the shiny mark on it, but you know. He'll be purple when I evolve him. Hi, Skywalker! Just looking at the handful of shinies that I have. Impidimp, I caught this thing like immediately as I walked into the area. It was there, and I was like, wow, so lucky. Good morning! Is it a good morning? My power's going off at 2, so it's debatable. Espathro, that I actually caught as a... I caught it as a Flittle. Given I have none, that's sick. I've had to use sandwiches and properly shiny hunt these. Like, I think the only one that I got that was full odds was Poink. This is the only shiny I got at full odds. This one I got from my boyfriend. We traded for something. Honestly, don't remember what it was now. Oh, I gave him... So I caught 2 Flittles. And I gave him one. Because we use this... Oops. We use this in the raid battles. So I was like, I want a shiny one. Yeah, and then everything else so far has been on a sandwich. I think one of my Magikarps I caught off of the sandwich, like just at the end of the spawns. And then yesterday I did 3 sandwiches for Iron Valiant. The first sandwich I got nothing. The second sandwich I got 2 of them. And then the third sandwich, I don't remember which one it was. I think... Oh, it was this one. This one took 15 minutes to catch. At some point I got frustrated and I gave the switch to my boyfriend. I was like, yeah, catch it. Or rather, he's like, let me catch it. So I gave it to him. And then he still struggled for a while. And I was just like, this thing had no health. But I'm very stubborn about what balls I use. So I always want to use... Okay, except for Poink. I always want to use the luxury balls for when I catch shinies. Because it just looks cool, man. It's special. It's different. But he ended up catching it in a timer ball because we'd been in that battle. and he said he was panicking because he said when a Pokemon runs out of moves to use, it starts to use Struggle, which recoils. Na 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 na, good morning. Na 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 na, good morning. Hi Zephyr, thank you for the beanie. There was a hell of a fight. It truly was a hell of a fight. He was very worried that it was going to kill himself. Ah, thank you for the lucky Zephyrs. He was very worried it was going to kill itself. So he was like, oh hell no. And he managed to catch it. I didn't want to reset though, because you lose your sandwich if you reset. So, you know. But yes, I think I'm going to be doing some... Actually, before I forget, I just need to grab someone. Who am I missing from my team? Oh, Masquerada. I can actually move Chicken Wing. You're off to work. I hope it goes well. Thank you as well for the Lokis. Alright, so... oh, why is this guy here? I just need to catch the other... I need to catch the yellow one. I'll have a moment. I'll check my spawns in a moment. There's a spot. Okay. Oh, I guess I could do my living decks as well. But that was not the plan. The plan was very simply to see what outbreaks we have. Oops, not that much. Heracross. Glimmet. More Magikarps. I'm good, thanks. I already have 2. Psyduck. Man, I really like Psyduck shiny. But Golduck is kind of underwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. Nothing really jumps out at me. Nothing here is too interesting, I think. Yeah. I'm gonna do the old switcheroo. Hi, beautiful. Good morning. Yeah. What is my time set as? Is the date correct? I don't know what today's date is. Oh, it is. For some reason. Oh, I was shiny hunting at some point, and it was like almost midnight, which means the spawns would have reset. So I didn't want it to do that. I'm just gonna have to do that again now. How are you doing today? And how was the rest of your stream? Sorry I couldn't stick around. Why am I seeing both of these at the same time? Stream was fun? Oh hell yeah. Good morning, Hassan. How are you feeling today? Did you manage to get some sleep last night? There we go. You had something that helped you sleep? Nice. Oh no, there's a Lucario outbreak. Fuck. Wait, that's really cool. I might actually go hunt it properly. Or I got you a Zhongli and Child Chibi figure for your birthday. Oh my gosh! Wait, when's your birthday? You had to wake up early? Oh no. Your dad's flying today? Your twin is sick? Oh no! Hassan, I'm so sorry. I know you're supposed to be on vacation. But it sounds like everything is going on now. It was last week? Oh! I'm so terrible. Happy birthday! I just messaged Ray. I'm like, Lucario outbreak. He says, please get me one, and then sends me the most terrifying banana emoji. I might steal a sandwich from him. You love my glasses? Thank you. It's to hide my dead eyes. Oh, be right back. Sorry, I had to steal my boyfriend's Switch so I could make a sandwich quick. Okay, hold on. I need to use my brain. Because, I have small brain, right? Wait, what type is Lucario? Fuck, man. Lucario. I have to make sure that I make the right sandwich for him. Ba-ba-bum. Fighting steel? I don't know which one would be better. I have a big brain? Aww. I don't know what other Pokemon would be in that area. Okay, let's quickly go have a look and see, and then I can decide what sandwich I want to make. But it's fighting or steel, and he sent me the sandwich receipt. Can I go up this way? Whoa. Oh, Mans is just up here. Mans is literally on the fucking rock. This Spoink, who I think is psychic, and I don't know about that bug. But I think I should be safe if I do a fighting type. Fighting sandwich. Okay. Pardon me for a moment. You guys are gonna see some god-awful sandwich making. Please don't question it. What a fucking horrible place to shiny hunt though. Jeez. Like, on the side of a cliff, there's a guy in the rock there. Can I go up this? Whoa, okay. No, this is not a... Cool. I guess I'm just gonna have to go back and forth. Oh, but there's leeches here. Maybe steel. I'll make steel sandwich. Yeah, I think that will work best. I'm gonna picnic reset this one actually because, yeah, fuck this noise. Suichi, can you turn on? There we go. Hi guys. Ray's like, can you get me one? Oh, that guy was spicy. He wanted to fight. Contrary to what you might think, so I did not want to fight you. Hi Mau Mau, good morning. I'm going to be shiny hunting today. I'm just trying to set up my sandwich, but it's very confusing trying to do this. So y'all just gonna have to be patient with me.
Hello, motherfucker.
Hi Wolfie to the moon. How are you? Whoa, why is that guy like getting closer and closer? What the fuck? How rude. Give me peace, bro. I don't even mind though, the music's good. Nami shiny checking everything in Ray's game. Okay, let us... You be gone. Give me peace, man. Give me peace. Portal. I'm doing good.
Excuse me.
QB, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the posse. How you doing today? I just want to double, triple, quadruple check that this guy is in fact... Ah! Oops. Alrighties. Yeah, my power's going out in like 3.5 hours, so having a bit of a shorter stream today, unfortunately. Okay. Let's do this. Ah, gross. Why this area? Oh, I have fucking trauma flashbacks trying to evolve my King Gambit. Can I make a picnic here? I can. 10 out of 10. You did a new eye test? You need new glasses? Oh, Hassan. Your eyes got skill issue there. Yes. And then do like so. Make a sandwich. Look at all his fucking shinies, bro. Shiny, why can't I remember what this thing's called suddenly? What is it called? The cats. I suddenly can't remember. Okay, hold on. I have to join on my one. Make a sandwich. Make a sandwich. Okay, we're good. Anyway, he has a lot of shinies. And then we're making our own special. What does shiny mean? It's just a different color, Hassan. You just send some love and positive vibes. Thank you, QB. I can see you're a Pokemon fan. Look at all them sweet babies. Very cute. Tomatoes? I'm gonna put lots of tomatoes. I'm gonna put all the tomatoes. Okay, hold on. Let's see. What is going on the steel? More hamburger. I'm putting lots of hamburger. Okay, so this one I can just go forward. Butter. This one's fine. Okay. On Ray's one, I need to put... I almost put extra tomato, but I don't need extra tomato. Yesterday, I need to send you the... Oh, I need to post the picture, but we were making sandwiches for fairy type. And it has like 9 pieces of tomato on it. It's pretty gross, actually. This one's got 3 burger. God damn. I hope I'm doing this right. I think this is right. I hope this is right. Bam! So shiny, it's like a very small chance. It's very rare. It's hard to find. Why is it making the smoke now? It looks fine on Ray's screen. Oof, this is awful. You want to be shiny? You can be shiny if you wanna. This is probably one of the least offensive making sandwiches I've ever made. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, yesterday we were making ones for fairies, and the fairy one has 9 tomatoes on it, 1 hamburger. You know what? I've never had a Gatsby. I need to have one when I move to Cape Town. I think that's everything. Yep. I'm not gonna put the top on, because you don't actually need to, which is weird, but yeah, you just throw it over there. And that's the sandwich, guys. Would you eat this sandwich? Looks at watch, looks back at Tato, back at watch, then back at... Why are you looking at... What the... Why, llama? Why you look at watch?
Got him!
Mao! No! Mao! Stop! No, 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 no. None of that. But thank you. And I went to Crossing Point. Crossing Point is good bean. Mao, no! Bad Mao. Look at that disgusting sound. Would you guys eat this? I can't. The raw tomato, raw onion, and peppers. Oh. 0 out of 10 would not eat that. I'd pick the hamburger off and eat that. Steal, steal, steal. Perfect. 10 out of 10. Okay. You would eat that, guys. Come on, man. Give me peace. Give me peace. Also, I normally stream in the mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So is it actually that early? Fucking oh man! Every time I come here, thinking about King Gambits. Oh, the sadness. It was such an annoying evolve to do. Hooded, hello. Sorry. I think I'm just gonna do picnic reset. Oh no! Why is it spawning those things now? What the assholes? Let me just double check what this thing looks like shiny, because I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be yellow. But now I'm doubting myself. I had to do that yesterday, like several times. Okay, it's very yellow. It's very noticeable. You will know. You couldn't pay me enough to eat it? Same. But at least we have homies in the chat who would eat it. So... Let me go on my children's. Anyway, I'm supposed to do that a lot faster, but I get distracted by the Pokemon every time. Hello, where Lucario? Where Lucario shiny, please? And thank you. Nay, brew! It's spawning all kinds of cuck now. Maybe I should have gone for the fighting one. There's a couple Lucario over this way. Maybe I can just jump between the two areas. That's just Tinkertops, Tinkerton, Tinker Tonkers. I don't know what they're called. Maybe it's me that's not usually up this early tuned on Twitch. Entirely possible. But yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays I try and do morning streams. It's not always the case because at the moment we're still juggling load shedding. But our country, well not our country I guess, the utility company was like, yeah guys, you're gonna have load shedding every day for the next 2 years, but don't worry, it's only gonna be stage 2 and 3. And we were like, I'll believe it when I see it. And you know what? Immediately we are on stage 5 already, so no faith. No faith, no faith at all. I don't know if it's better to sit in this spot. Okay, we're not going to perceive those things over there. Look how beautiful the moon is, though. Picnic! Oh, shit. Give me peace, guys. I just want to set up a picnic. No! Let me picnic! Hi, Moombas! I'm doing good. I hope you're doing well. Ah! Look at all these people sleeping. Thank you, Kid Thor.
Don't mind me just watching.
Mao, you could have been first. It's got Violos! No, not the engine. Not the vroom vrooms. We don't want to be part of that. Only Lucarios, please. You were first in spirit? Let me know if you need any Scarlet exclusive Pokemon. I have finished my Pokédex. So I'm good, but thank you. Because Ray has... Oh, look at the children. This is a daycare. Ray has got Scarlet, so... I just stole all of his Pokemon. Please! No! We don't want to perceive that one. We just want some Lucarios.
Excuse me!
You only follow bottoms? Why are you following me then? Unbelievable. Not fucking believable. You followed the wrong person. Get out of here. I'm doing good though. How are you doing? How you doing, Hooded? Oh, fantastic. It is currently morning for me. It's almost 20 to 11, I guess. Look at all those chickens. They're not the right color chicken though. So we're just gonna oh, I keep pressing the wrong button. Crust on a bike. No! Fuck. I hate how long all the menus are. Like, damn. Just send me to prison. Stuck in menu hell over here. Being held captive by menu options because I accidentally clicked the wrong one. This is fine though. Whoa, more chickens. I've not yet mastered the ability to not panic when I see a shiny. Whoa, look at that big one. Man, I hate seeing tiny versions of Pokemon because then I just want to catch them. But I'm going to do absolutely nothing with them like I do with all the other Pokemon sitting in my box. So there's honestly no point. Some were spawning up there before, now they've fucked off. Hello, motherfucker. Hi, daddy. What the fuck are those? What's poppin'?
Don't mind me just watching.
Thank you, daddy. Hope you're doing good. Your choma. King Thor is... Or King Thor? Kid Thor is already here. Whoop! Nay, brew. These stinker tanks must go away. You know what? Next time I'll try a fighting sandwich and see what that does. They were just fucking Hawluchas out the wazoo here, so I didn't want to use Hawlucha. Or I didn't want to use the fighting sandwich because I was like, I'm just gonna get Hawluchas, man. Whoa! You guys are fucking funny, man. How did no one claim that before? I know it's early. Maybe we feel sleepy. No! I don't want to buy any. Thank you. Goodbye. Huh? Slope? The audacity. No! Is that what I wanted to see? Okay, they're no longer spawning on that slope. That's cool. No, man! What are these other little shits spawning? I had the most fun yesterday, farming shiny Iron Valiants. Because I used the fairy sandwich in the cave, and it was the only thing that could spawn there. So that's all I had. It was just loads and loads of Iron Valiants. You gotta go collect the last 17. Are you not working today? Whoa. Nothing is looking yellow yet. Where did I... Oh. I was like, where did I put race switch? It's fine, it's sitting in front of me. It is safe. No yellow. It's a national holiday? Oh, shit! Nice. But on a Thursday kind of sucks though. Because now you have to go back to work tomorrow. Oh, the size difference of Pokemon sometimes is so cute, man. No, I don't want to buy any. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, bro. Stop following me. Relax, homie. Unfortunate timing. Yeah. I know in South Africa, like, people would take the Friday off. No! That's not what I wanted to see. Yeah, fall down the mountain. Silly elephants. This spawn is the fucking worst, bro. Why are you on the cliff? It's not looking so Gucci, fam. But do you have any plans besides playing Bien Charm? Do you have any plans for today? No, not the fucking elephants again. Piss off. Man, Pokemon sleeping under a tree looks so fucking different. I almost always get bamboozled by them. Go back up? Where does it take me? Okay, interesting. Pity I can't picnic up here. The game's just like, oh, did you fall down? Oh my god, the size difference! You gotta update your resume. That's gonna eat up your whole afternoon. Do you have a lot of things to add to it? When last did you work on your resume? I'll be honest, I haven't touched mine literally in years. Because before this, I had worked at the same company for like 5-ish years. Oh, look at the babies! Little bitty babies! I'd love to get a shiny Riolu rather than Lucario. Obviously, I'll take the Lucario if I get it. But I like getting the baby forms of things and then evolving it up. Because then it makes my shiny count bigger. If I was feeling more adventurous, I would most definitely make a shiny living dex, but I need to make a normal living dex first. Which I do need to do at some point. You gotta update them every few months. Oh. Are you not done with college yet? Are you still studying? Look at all those chickens. More chickens. Give me more chickens. No, that's not a chicken. Yeah. Oh, geez. You have a year and a half? Damn. But you working at the same time? What? Why y'all spooking up on me there? Relax, buddy. Ah! Look at all these chickens just running after me. So aggressive. Imagine being educated. Couldn't be me. You have 6.5 years left, Hassan? Yeah, you've basically just started. Are the volume levels fine and stuff? Do you guys need me to bump anything up? Can you hear the Pokemon sounds? It's semester break, so I decided to do an internship instead of wasting my days playing Genshin and watching VTubers. What's poppin'? Don't mind me, just watching. Thank you, Wolfie. Funny how that turned out. It's funny because it's true. But also, oh man, wait, so that means, like, oh, you don't really get a break then, because you've just been working. Look at all those angry chickens, blue chickens chasing me. Where the yellow chicken at though? You guys are relax, please. Picnic. Thank you for the head pats. Alright. Oops, no. How much longer do I have this? Oh, 14 minutes then. Damn. Ray brought me a smoothie. Oh.
You look thirsty as fuck right now.
That's very convenient timing as I just got a smoothie. Whoops! Oh. Y'all saw nothing, yeah? India is so competitive that taking time off is seen as lazy. So you don't really get to have a holiday as such. You don't get an actual break during your break. Ooh, new berry. What? How still no yellow? Where my yellow boy? Please, yellow boy. Oh! Y'all wanna fight? Let's not. So Hooded, what exactly are you studying? If you don't mind me asking. Because I feel like I haven't asked before. Oh, look at all the babies! What are babies by the elephants? I felt like I got enough of a break this time. Pretty much all of December I didn't do shit. Oh, okay, well that's nice then. Decided to be a menace in chat instead. Oh, of course. Whoops. Ah, shit. Computer science? Oh shit, could not be me. Whoops! Oh man, I got stuck yesterday in this like endless loop of Pokemon battles. Okay, it wasn't actually endless. Obviously I got out. However, it just fucking took ages to... I had to kill so many Pokemon, but I just kept... my thing kept like it reversing into other Pokemon and I was like, come on man, give me peace. And no, I don't know how to fix your computer. Are you telling me you're not going to be our technical support person? No, I'm joking. I live with someone who can help me with my computer at least. Even though he didn't study anything like that, he does like security, IT security. So like, it's not his thing. But whenever I panic, I'm like, how do I fix this? He helps me. Not only does he need skill in knowing how to fix problems, he also needs skill in keeping me calm because I panic. Hey, all these stinker tanks need to fuck off out of here. Because I see their color and I'm just like, whoa, what's that? Knowing full well what it is. I don't know what's faster to reset. To go back and forth to respawn them or just to do picnic. Wait, why did you ban yourself? Five times? We all know that number's not right. Bad joke is bad joke. I mean, if anyone's allowed to make that joke, surely it's you. So even though it's bad, I'll let it slide. If some cracker-ass cracker made that joke though, delete message. Spec! Thank you for the confettis. How you doing, friend? These aren't yellow. That's so weird. Why would they not be yellow? What? Are they spicy though? Relax, guys. Yeah, it's been a bit of a while, but it's all good. I'm doing good. Well, as good as we can be in stage 5, I guess. Remember when ESCOM was like, hey guys, we're gonna give you 2 years of stage 2 to 3. And everyone was like, what the fuck? Yeah, it didn't happen anyway, so, you know, empty promises. As we say in Afrikaans, who's a we? Kap maar aan. I don't know. Keep on, but I don't know kap. Oh, is it carry on? Same but different. My Afrikaans is questionable at best. Possibly one of the dumbest Pokemon designs. I'm not a fan of these Pokemon at all. They're literally just little engines. Me, myself, and I? Okay, that's fair enough then. I was like, it's gotta be the royal we, because I know that we does not refer to me. I did pretty good in Afrikaans when I was in school. And that's where it ended. I'll happily cuss in Afrikaans, but otherwise I don't partake in the rest of the language. Because I was working from home and I was an English teacher. I had no reason to ever use it. All through COVID. All through COVID. I barely spoke to anyone. Dan, thank you for the onigiris. Poes! Your poes work. Hope you're doing good today, Dan. I think we ran out of blueberries. You woke up late? How dare you, you lazy bum. I'm good, I'm good. Besides the fact that we have stage 5, which means I have to have a very short stream today. We're doing good. Well, I say very short. It's 4 hours-ish. It's not that short, but it's way shorter than I want to do. Which is irritating. But there's also not much I can do. And also, fucking with the power station that blew up near my house the other day, like I'm kind of scared to stream too long, like extra time, because, man. Mao actually had a power outage for like 8 days at his house. He thankfully was able to go stay by a friend. But like 8 days and there was no electricity by his house. Fucking insane shit. So yeah, I'm always just paranoid that that kind of shit goes on again. That's too long, right? It's fucking awful. And I guess the problem is that there's a lot of theft, there's like cable theft and stuff in his area, and I think vandalism maybe as well. I'm not too sure about that, but those are typically the reasoning behind why things would be that bad. vandalism or theft, so they have to like replace things or whatever. Was working and all I hear suddenly is boost. Yeah, so Hooded is not South African, but has during his time in my chat learned the word boost. And I just like saying, even if the person didn't use the word boost, I just like to say yo boost work, just to say fuck you. So you gotta get me some other level of madge to say that though. But yes, it's just Hooded swearing in my chat, the usual. No worries, no worries. But yeah, his power's back. I think he might have gone back home now. I'm not actually too sure. He said he wants to go back home last night, but I don't know. I don't know if he did. Oh, look at the babies! They're so cute! Small! I love Riolu's. Oh man. There was one of the games, but I don't remember which one it is. How much time do I have left? Oh, a minute and a half. I don't remember which game it was, but one of the games you get given an egg and it has a Riolu inside, and it made me so happy. Okay, let's just do a resetty picnic. Picnic. Why are none of these shiny? Oh! I'm getting chased by the vroom vrooms now. No, thank you. What exactly is going on? Okay, sorry. If you guys are not familiar with Pokemon games, I guess this can seem a little bit strange, a little bit confusing. Whoop! But I'm shiny hunting. Do you know what a shiny is? Because maybe that's the first question we need to answer. Hi Emulator, how you doing today? Ah, shit. Oh, that one was a girl? Oh, for fuck's sakes. Yeah. Okay, the sandwich has run out. Okay. Hi back. You look a little different today. Must be the sunglasses, definitely. Hey, these guys are aggressive, man. Relax. Alright, so we are currently shiny hunting. A shiny is a rare color variation of a Pokemon. There's a lot of things that make it easier to get shiny Pokemon these days. But yeah, so if you can see this one here, the Poink, the first one, it's a piggy. He's black, brown, and he's got a pink nose. But if you look at my one, you'll see his body is pink instead. That's the shiny version. Alright, some of these are a little bit harder to see, so we're gonna skip the Mudbray, because it's not that, the picture's a bit small, but it's like a lighter color. The shiny Magikarp is gold instead of orange. And I'm going to be evolving one of these into its evolved form. I haven't decided yet which one. This one normally is blue, but the shiny version is green when it evolves. I don't know about the Marill. Maybe Marill is still green, but the final evolution is bright yellow. It looks very pretty. This one is just slightly toasted. And then Iron Valiant basically just loses all of its paint. Fuzzy, thank you for the balloons. How are you doing? So yeah, I was farming this guy yesterday. Yeah, he just loses his paint job. Because he's a robot. This one, it's almost impossible to see the difference. When you see it... Actually, hold on. I have pictures of it somewhere. Because I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, no ways. Oh wait, this is the video? Okay, you can see it in the background there. They're two different shades of pink. I kept... I kept missing. I kept running into the wrong thing. But there's the shiny. In the middle. Well, not in the middle. To my left, I guess. This one here. Wow. You just are dinner? You're our dinner now? What was for dinner? Oh, and there's a picture which gives you a better indication. Tato gets sun and I get chan. Oh no! I'm doing good, Fuzzy! My power's going out in like 3 hours, but otherwise I'm doing good. Spicy meat with rice. Oh, my brain. Okay, so it's like 11 a.m. for me now. So when you said spicy meat with rice, I was like, but it's morning, and my brain was very slow. Anyway, so that was my shiny. Also, these are some of the disgusting sandwiches that Ray and I have made. I don't remember which one this was for. What were we shiny hunting with this one? Here's another terrible one. The patty was basically falling off. What is that? Terrible sandwiches. Oh, you know what? This might have been the Magikarp ones. So this must have been the water one. And I wanted to take screenshots of the different Magikarps that I caught. But they weighed the same. So I was like, well, fuck. Never mind then. They were exactly the same weight. Oh, I never saw. This one was actually female and this one was male. Ah. That could have shown the difference. And then, oh, right. This is when I caught Flittle. Look how small and cute she is. Well, actually, technically, if this is Chicken Wing, it's a he. My Chicken Wing's a boy. And then, oh yeah, this is when I was hunting them. The difference is small. This was Ray's one. What else did I... What was this? What was this? Why did I record this? Did something happen? Oh, it's because it was running around me. I laughed so hard. This thing just got the zoomies. And he was just yoinking around me. Is that an ostrich? I guess kind of, yeah, it is an ostrich. Oh, I was trying to farm these guys. Ugh. Ended up just getting a Marrow Outbreak instead, and that worked a lot better anyway. Alright. Yeah. Where's Hassan? Hassan, please look at the sandwich. 9 pieces of tomato. Fucking abomination. But that abomination got me 2 shiny Azurils, so I'm not even mad. Look at that little green baby. You hate it here? Fozzie, no! That was not decent. Ugh, disgusting. Oh yeah, there. I had to get another one for a... Oh, this is the Impidimp that I got, like, immediately afterwards, because I was farming this guy, and I got this thing, like, at the beginning of my sandwich. And Ray was like, okay, go farm other things. Quick, quick, quick. So I ran. As I entered this area, there was a fucking shiny Impidimp. I like panicked, bro. And then I went to Medali, which is one of like the cities, one of the gym places. And I found this really quick. I tried to get him one, but I couldn't. And then what was this? Was this the fairy one? Guys, the sandwiches in this game are ridiculous. Why are the patties so small? I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. But yes, this was me farming yesterday. The Iron Valiant. And I think the rest of the pictures were just... I was trying to get a nice picture of these things. I got 2 on the same sandwich. I got this one right in the beginning. And then a couple minutes later, I got this one. And then I went on to farm another one, which I fucking hated. What is this? Oh, Flabebe for Snom. I ended up never doing that. Oh, and then this happened. And I just sat laughing for a while. Because I kept getting stuck in combat. And it's jumped back onto another one. So as soon as I get out of this battle, it's gonna go into another one. I don't know why. It just kept getting stuck. Listen, it was painful. Because I think I jumped into another one here. And then Ray was like, no, just kill them until you get out. Yesterday, I had to fight like 3 or 4 before I got out. And I was just like, bro, what the fuck? Give me peace, man. Whoa, look at all these poppers. Listen, I'm actually not too sure how much the sandwich helped at all. I mean, it's gonna help for shinies, I guess. But I wanted to try a fighting one next. Let's just do one reset and see. Ah, fuck off. Okay, for fighting I put extra pickles. Ew, not for luchas. Axe shoes? No, bro. No, 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 no. Whoa! All kinds of shit spawns up here, apparently. Yeah, we're gonna try... I'm probably gonna get like 40 billion Horluchas, but you know. What are those? It's puppies! Little scaly puppies. Lily! Hello, beautiful. How you doing? Okay, yeah. Let us make a sandwich. I'm doing good, Lily. How are you? You guys are gonna see some ridiculous sandwich making skills again. Just need to open. Oh no, I clicked the wrong. For fuck's sakes, man. I'm so annoying. Can I stop doing that? Good morning, Puggy. What time did you end up going to sleep? Puggy and I were up late. Well, I wasn't up that late, but goddamn, I was tired. Playing Miku Miku Dance. Can't be any worse than Gordon's grilled cheese. Wait, what's wrong with his grilled cheese? Also, Lily, I'm doing good. My power is going off spoonish, but you know it's okay.
Hello, motherfucker.
Hello, motherfucker. Hi, Sejo. 7:30? Oh my goodness. I might have even been asleep before you. I fell asleep really fast last night. I honestly do not remember. You gotta watch the video on YouTube. He fucks it up so bad. Do you have a link for me, Hooded? Because we can maybe watch that while I'm slowly trying to set the sandwich business up. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Man. Pokeportal. I guess it depends on what's faster. You finding a link or... Alrighty then. What the f— I've definitely had a picnic that close before, but cool. Oh, Ray's one worked. I've returned. Oh, with sushi and sushi? You eat sushi? No ways. Veggie sushi? Did you get some extra for us? That's a good question. Where my sushi? Gordon's ultimate grilled cheese recipe. Okay, let's pause this for a second. Where's this boy? Oh, he's trying to shake Google Chrome. There's not a single piece of fish in my house, and there never will be. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was a little confused. You got Yao Yao! Congrats, Echo! Hell yeah! Why is it cutting the videos? Oh my god.
Now, we all love grilled cheese. I grew up with it. That was cheese on toast. But there's something quite amazing for a grilled cheese, especially when you have these incredible cheeses. A Romano with pepperberry and Asiago. Beautiful.
I definitely got enough for multiple people.
The ultimate grilled cheese with this
is a
dream come true. So I'm going to just cut nice big long slices.
You need to share your.
So I can take off the rind easily. Okay, and those pepper berries is going to make the cheese a little bit spicy.
So much, take so much off.
I mean, so beautiful. And then
Daddy Ramsay, ain't he great? I don't know, Lily, is he? Because apparently this is a garbango sandwich.
Cut off the rind, and then from there,
neighbor,
get the slice and just go in half again. So you've got these nice, long, luscious.
Half debatable,
like
good sir.
Sort of mini bricks of
debatable.
Cheese. Look at that, and that pepperberry.
Better than Jamie Oliver? Oh no. Well, Jamie Oliver tried to traumatize kids out of eating chicken, so fuck him. That is not the way to go about it. Instead of traumatizing people, teach them compassion instead. You cannot say the words cunt. Is that too harsh?
Now, from there, a little bit of butter, okay? And always butter heavily on the outside. You'll see why, especially when you get that nice, crispy texture. Again,
okay, it didn't look like he was putting enough butter on, because he was like heavily butter it on the outside, and I was like,
With some salt. And then from there,
like when you butter for your siblings versus when you butter for your favorite cousin, it's different kinds of, different amounts of butter.
In a way that it becomes somewhat.
Why would you?
Fitted to the bread.
What a knob! What about those other pieces? Just put the whole thing on.
Kimchi.
You sent me a cake pic.
Kimchi, which is going to give a nice.
Why is it so pretty?
To that incredible cheese.
Fuck.
Now, the acidity.
Can I post it on my Discord, Peggy?
It's incredible.
Wait, what was that shit?
Wait.
I wasn't listening.
Now, the acidity in this kimchi.
Kimchi!
But once it's been cooked,
hey yo!
Breathtaking. Fold that over.
On a toasty?
And then from there,
neighbor.
Push that down.
Oh, that is so much cheese.
We're going to stick that in the oven. A beautiful fireplace over there.
Oh, Mal got home this morning.
Nice and warm. Touch of olive oil in. Beautiful. And then from there, get the temperature up. Just lightly starting to smoke.
Puggy, I'm gonna post the cake on my Discord. You didn't answer, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Oh wait, you said go for it. Okay.
Lift up.
I put it in IRL pics, I did. Ah, brew. In a fire even.
And she cooks.
Never seen it in a sandwich? Yeah, it's interesting. I don't quite understand the cheese choices. Then again, I'm not much of a cheese snob. So... Are you burning it? Okay, no. But he is basically deep frying that shit. Look at that. So much oil in there. White bread and cheese is perfectly acceptable. We don't need all this. This is too much. How it looks like a drawing. It doesn't look real.
Both sides back out. And just place your spatula on top and push down. And that helps to get the cheese nicely melted.
It also helps your bread to absorb more oil in the bottom of the pan.
Kimchi.
He's not even done fucking up. What?
Especially that pepperberry.
Neighbor.
Wonderful combination. And also,
I mean, he does make some good food.
That beautiful grilled cheese. Take that out. Turn that over. Look.
That cheese doesn't look melted.
Away. Beautiful. The cheese is melted. And this. Yeah, how crispy that is. Beautiful. Look at that.
The cheese did not stick to your knife, therefore it is not melted.
Slice that in half again. Oh my god.
Oh my god. It didn't stick. How can it be beautiful and delicious?
Oh my god. That is incredible. That pepperberry, spicy, the acidity of that kimchi, and that bread cooked in the open fire. Wow. It's so good.
The reason why he cut it again.
I want to move to Tasmania. That is delicious.
He didn't want to eat half of it. That's why he only ate a quarter.
And if you missed Uncharted, trust me, you can watch it on the link below.
That cheese was not melted at all. Please be serious. Even he was looking looking at it like, what the fuck did I just do? I didn't melt it, that's what I did. Oh man. How would it cause a heart attack? I'm guessing it's from all of the oil and the cheese. It's too calorie dense. The comments are really good. Ah, fuck. Oops, it's gone. It's gone forever now. Let's go back to this bad boy. Whoops. Let's go. I want to try the other sandwich this time. Now I'm just looking at the picture of Peggy's cake. I want you to try fighting and see what that spawns. Okay, and then we'll get raised one to add the rest. What is it? Pickles. Bam, bam, bam. Oh! That was close. Almost fucked it up. Saturated fatty acids, oil, and probably also lots of salt, because he put fucking massive lumps of cheese on that. This is gonna be a really gross a gross sandwich. Oh man. Whoops. Man, it's doing that smoke thing again. Hi, Vivian. Long time no see. You still good, homie? Oh. I'm just gonna spam that channel with pics of yummy things I find in Japan. Oh my god, please. So you better go join the Discord. Wink, wink. If you want to see Puggy's tasty food from Japan, you better get in there. Hassan, this is gonna be your favorite sandwich yet. We're just gonna put all the tomato here. Provided I don't mess it up. Wow! Tasty snacks. Does this not look the most delicious? Ooh, that was spicy! Almost dropped it. Shit, man. This is the worst sandwich I've ever seen in my life. Oh my goodness. Let's put the last pickle in the middle. Ah. This is an open sandwich. Hello? Wait, it might still work, because on Ray's side it actually looks fine. Guys. This is not the first time a sandwich has been fucked up on one side and not the other. So we're gonna try. The entire pick just got swallowed by the tomato tower there. What the fuck? It's fine on Ray's side. Why is the hamburger floating? What is going on? Neighbor. Don't ask me about the smoke either. I don't know why it's doing that. You'd break your girlfriend if she made a sandwich like that. This has to be the worst sandwich in the history of sandwiches. Look at that shit. I mean, it did what it had to do. Man, I need to clip that and show the VOD to Ray, because what the fuck? Oh my god. That sandwich looks good. I would eat it. No, Peggy. Can you make a BLT sandwich? I'm pretty sure I can, but I'm doing something very specific, which means I need to have very specific sandwiches. So I could, but I'm not gonna. Where was he? There's somewhere near here, right? Ah, there it is. Oh my god. That was the funniest sandwich glitch I've ever seen. Gordon would be proud. The king of terrible sandwiches. Oh, girl, please. Okay, we jump up the cliff again. So yeah, I'm just shiny hunting at the moment. So I'm trying to get me a shiny one of these blue boys, and when they're shiny, they're bright yellow, so should be a fairly easy shiny to spot. You see, they're all blue. None of these are yellow. Feels like it feels a lot like artifact grinding. Yeah. No jokes, it is grinding. It does take a long time. But at the end of it, you get something really cool that you can show off to people. Never asked Tato to make you a sandwich. Listen, IRL sandwiches are the bomb. Pokemon sandwiches, a little bit less. A little bit less. Oh, there's little pommies down there. Oh my god. Whoa, that Lucario is fucking massive. Oh, Jesus! Angry little bird. Let's not. God damn it. There's a guy in the rock there. Cool. Oh, also these guys are fucking cute. I wish I could zoom in more. But they're basically this generation's Pikachu. The little ones are called Pawmi. And the middle one there is called Pormo, I think. So it's the first Evo, the little one, and then the second Evo is the second one. They're bright pink when they're shiny, so... You know, if it happens, it happens. These guys, I don't know what they look like shiny, but I'm apparently gonna accidentally run into all of them. Ah! Can your human fight the Pokemon? No! That's animal abuse, Hooded. What the heck? Oh, fuck. Not this shit again. Oh, man. Do I risk it? Am I gonna bounce back into something else, or are we good? Yep, okay, we're free. Let's never do that again. This is honestly one of the worst places I've ever had to shiny hunt. It's such a tiny space. Animals fighting humans is not okay, but making animals fight each other is? Yeah, I mean that's Pokemon, right? Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Fucking getting such a fright. I hate these things. This is why I didn't want to use the fighting sandwich, because these guys are so aggressive. But most of the, oh, fuck off. I ran straight into that one. The steel ones were not very aggressive. Even the engines, for some reason. The engines were just staring at me. Just on the small off chance that something else spawns here besides fucking Horluchas. No? Okay, well, fuck me, I guess. Look at all those chickens! And not one of them is yellow. It's fine, we do picnic reset. I mean, I might as well check out these guys while I'm here. They would be like super bright pink. Very hard to miss, I think. Not a bad shiny to accidentally come across. Whoops. Sleepy Pokemon. Whoop! GG's Hassan. Do you have any plans for your vacation? Like, is there anywhere you want to go or anything you want to do besides play League of Legends? You just want to relax? That's also fair. I guess you're starting off your holiday having to take care of your sister. Riot had a massive security breach this week. Oh, shit. Are people stealing your datas? Change your passwords, guys. Your who wanted to book a flight for you? Your mom? Guys, come on. What is this? Do you guys see that? Oh my god. Oh my god. Please and thank you. Wait, do I have balls for this? Fuck. Oh, I did go buy more. Thank the Pope. Look at this, guys. Do you see a little pink boy? Slash girl. This is a girl. Look at it! Ah! Anyway, so what you do is you false swipe it. Because it hits it, but it won't kill it. Oh my god, so cute. And then you make it go sleepies. You make it go night-night. So now he's severely injured, or she is severely injured. And now she's fucking tired. She's fast on his slab. Now we throw a ball at her. Hitting Pokemon? Couldn't be me. You forgot to type it? No, it's fine. I figured it out. Not ours, their game files were stolen? What? Why would you steal game files? You can just download the game for free. Severely injuring animals to capture them? Yeah. Have you never played Pokemon before? Oh! Naughty chicken! Go sleepy. Also, her son's studying to become a doctor. He's gonna take care of me when I'm old. And falling apart. Whoa, crit catch! You've never played Pokemon? Okay, well, yeah, it's basically a 25 plus year reign of, Oh my god, guys, look at Penga! Oh my god! Actually, I have a name for her. Guys, I can't. She's so cute. I must do it later, though. I don't want to waste my Sandoichi. That is not the Pokemon I was shiny hunting, but I'll motherfucking take it. Imagine not playing Pokemon. Couldn't be me. I never had the consoles growing up though, so I had to play on like emulators and stuff. Because I was too poor to buy the console. But I wanted to play the Pokemons because I love the anime. Because that we had on was it SABC 2? On Tube? I think Tube had Pokemon. Used to run home from school every day. Well, from the bus stop. I'd run home from the bus stop every day. Okay, now it's time to get shiny Lucario. Alternatively, a second Pommy, because then I can... Or Poma. I can give it to Ray. Oh, wait, he might have one, actually. I think he might have one. Either way. Hellfire Monkey, hello, hello. How are you? The people that hacked Riot sent the funniest ransom note. Looks like written by a 10-year-old. Oh, that's kind of embarrassing though. What if it was a 10-year-old that hacked them? You watched Pokemon? I mean, even in the anime, they still will fight it out with Pokemon.
Excuse me.
Oh, thank you for the follow, Hellfire. Do you like Pokemon? Do you play Pokemon? Do you watch Pokemon? Do you collect Pokemon? Pokemon, Pokemon, Pokemon? I still can't believe I found that pink baby. My god. That was beautiful. You've been playing since Gen 1? Nice. Do you have a favorite Pokemon? Actually, anyone can answer that question. Does anyone have a favorite Pokemon they want to share with the class? Piplup! Of course. You have at least one favorite for each gen. Well, if you want to share with us, you're welcome to. If you want to go through the effort of typing them. Man, this is my good luck side. I already got a shiny this side. But these freaking Holuchas, man. They're giving me anxiety. Thank you for the onigiris, Yoda. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, I'm missing all the league stuff because I feel like I'd have to read it a bit more intensely than I can right now. Yoda! Whoops! That would have been funny if I'd fallen off. Not funny, haha, though. I'll be checking the little munchkins just in case. The little itty bitty babies. My favorite Pokemon, in case no one can guess from my sub badges and big badges, is Bulbasaur. Man, that spooked me for a second. Cause all I saw was red and I was like, no. Yoda, how are you doing? Sorry. What the fuck are those? Why is he here? I mean, I know I've got fighting on, but... Damn, what the fuck, bro? Where did you come from? You like Blastoise? Nice, he is a very cool Pokemon. My other favorite is Sylveon. I've cosplayed Sylveon twice. The first time with the normal colors and the second time with the shiny. Oh, babies! Look at the babies! Oh. Look at the baby! Oh my god. Look at the babies! No thank you. I did not want to buy any. Wow, the sun made that guy look yellow. Nidoking? Ooh. Heracross. Burnett? Okay. Roserade. I think I might have a shiny Roserade in Pokemon Go. I honestly haven't looked at my Pokemon Go in a very long time. I know I've got loads of shinies there. I should probably move them into Pokemon Home at this point. Zeb Striker. Ooh, that's an interesting one. What do you like about Zeb Striker? Aegislash. Alola Ninetales. Oh man, Alola Ninetales is so beautiful. Hisuian Zoroark. I don't know. Have I seen the Zoroark? And Clodsire? You like Clodsire? I love Clodsire. I had one in my team for the longest time. And I only switched him out at like the end, basically. Because I switched to a Shroomish that I use for shiny hunting. Or for hunting Pokemon, I guess. We saying our favorite Pokemon from each gen? I mean, I just asked about favorite Pokemon, but Hellfire had a couple. So I was like, hit us. Tell us all the things. But I big approve of the Quadsire because he's very fucking cute. Mine's just very slow, so... He's a good sturdy boy. But he is a little bit slow. But bless him, he's cute. Do you have like a #1 Pokemon that you like, Yoda? Or can you not pick? Because honestly, y'all know I'm about that 001 Bulbasaur for life kind of vibes, but I also really love Sylveon and all the EVs, to be honest. If anyone has seen my plushie collection, it's largely EVs. You like it for its name? Ah. It is I don't know about you, but I live in South Africa. And so I love pajama ponies. I think they're very cool. They're also very tasty. So yeah. I got a shiny Clodsire. I love the ponies. But I got it in a trade. I think it was for the Flittle. Because I caught a spare Flittle for my boyfriend. So he gave me a pony, shiny pony. He's like, sorry, it's only a this. And I'm like, bro, it's literally a horse. Make happy. The pink ball Pokemon, the one that sucks, that's... No, that's not Pokemon. I mean, there is a pink ball Pokemon, so when I read the first half of the explanation, I was like, yes? And then it sucks things in, and I'm like, no, that's Kirby. Kirby is not a Pokemon. Use Clodsire in your main playthrough. You named him Squoosh? Ah, mine's named... I think... Mine's named Squishy, actually. It was a friend of mine that was like, name him Squishy, name him Squishy. I have a Squishy and a Chubby, and my boyfriend's got something called Tubby. So we've got Chubby, Tubby, and Squishy. Do I even still have Sandwich at this point? That's what he said. No! Fagay! Oh, we still have time. If you start naming Pokemon, you'll be typing for a while. That's fine, Yoda. Tell us. Tell us who some of your faves are. Can I get a motherfucking shiny Lucario now, please? I've had enough. It's fine. It'll come when it wants to come, but I need to catch 2 of these. So I'm going to be playing this for the rest of today. Sometimes when I'm not streaming, I'll just go sit next to Ray while he's doing other things. And I'll just play some Pokemon. And sometimes we play together. We'll both be like... Because we both finished the game, so we're both just doing endgame things. Shiny hunting, building our Pokemon. I've got an Espatra that's level 100 and a Oranguru. Oh my god, I love using Oranguru. Because you use Instruct on it, so it just makes the other Pokemon attack again. So Ray will take something strong. And I just use Instruct. Ah! Chumby, Tumby, Squishy, and Squoosh. Oh my god. Wait, are those all Clodsires that you have? And do you have a shiny one? Kirby is the best video game ever? Really? I don't think I've ever played a Kirby game. Someone's barking angrily underneath me. Also, if I miss any messages, sorry guys. I'm trying to not miss shinies. You have a shiny? Oh, very nice. I don't have a shiny of it, but for now, I'm mostly just looking for stuff that I would use in the raids. Because there's a raid coming up soon, isn't there? Like a Greninja or something? I don't quite know what we're going to use against it yet. My boyfriend just tells me and then I make the thing happen. I build it, but... You started up a ghost type only Nuzlocke in Scarlet? Oh yeah? I've never tried a Nuzlocke Hellfire. I get way too attached to my Pokemon. It irritates my boyfriend like nothing else because I won't fight something unless I know I can win because I don't want my Pokemon to faint. I don't think I could do a Nuzlocke. I get attached. I get attached to all my Pokemon. I'm like, no, I don't want them to die, even though they're not really dying. But that's also why I could never do a Nuzlocke because yeah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't say goodbye. I would get attached immediately. I would name them and everything. I'd be like, yes, this is my squishy. G-Max Yoda is typing. Oh yeah, because he's telling us which Pokemon he likes. Used to like Mew when you were small. Very cute, but also cool. Very cool. Thank you for the head pats. Mew and Mewtwo. Okay, Mewtwo looks a little bit scurry. But, Mew, very cute Pokemon, I love. I'm just gonna set up a picnic to reset. Hi Momo, how are you doing? Yoda is typing. Why were none of those pink? I feel scammed. Gotta catch them all, the Dendroculus. Best of luck. Hope it goes well, friend. I wonder what these things look shiny. Because I didn't even bother looking. I didn't even bother searching. I was like, nope. Whoop. Thank you, baby. Whoa! Ah, shit. Ray stole my old coffee. Because I took too long to drink it, so now it's cold. He doesn't let me drink cold coffee. Even though I don't mind, I happily drink cold coffee. If he sees me drinking cold coffee, he's like, no! Takes it away from me. I just forget that it's there. I am very much out of sight, out of mind kind of person. If the cup is not in front of me, I forget it's there. So like, if I ever have like a glass of something or a cup of something next to my bed, I just won't drink it because I can't see it. Simply does not exist. This is gonna be one long message because he's typing all of his favorites. And he's typing up the reasons why. He's also typing up their Pokédex entries. Yoda's gonna just backspace quickly to tell us off. Getting ready for load shedding at work, so lazy mode activated. Oh, nice. I have load shedding. If I'm not mistaken, at 2. I hope it's at 2, because that's what I've prepared for. So, you know. Whoops! Ah, fuck. I bounced off one and fell into the other. Imagine drinking cold coffee? I don't need to imagine, because I do. I already do that. And Ray's like, hell no. No cold coffee. No pinkies? No pinkies? Oh, that's actually kind of weird. When they're shiny, they're pink, and a baby mouse or baby rat's the pinky. Look at this hangry boy. No, thank you. A shiny. No, you asshole! No! No! This chuckle fuck! I'm getting Lucario blocked. Please. Oh my god. Bro! Give me peace! Fucking hell, my heart! I almost missed him! So this is what we've been looking for, guys. This yellow boy. Oh, Jesus Lord. My heart. My soul. I was here. Yeah, boy. Go sleepies. You little fuck. Yay! And now I need to get another one. One for me, one for Ray. Oh, crit catch even? Fuck yeah! Hell yeah, bitch! Bam, bam, bam. Ba, 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 bam. Yay! Oh! Nay, brew. You just jelly because I don't want to catch you. Goodbye. We did it, guys! We got one shiny Lucario. Now we just need a second shiny Lucario. Yay! Shiny Lucario, let's go! No? Okay, well, fine. Fuck, okay. Do I even still have sandwich? I have 2 minutes left. I'm gonna have to make another one. Sandwichy. Oh my gosh, Yoda gave us a list and a half there. What's poppin'? Don't mind me just watching. Thank you, Tiff. I hope you're having a good day. Woof. I'm actually curious about the Horluchas. If it's like a distinguishable shiny like the Lucario. I don't know all the shiny forms. I only know this one because I had to Google it. I knew the baby was yellow. And I'm pretty sure I spoke to... Was it Trinium? I think Trinium was playing Pokemon the other day. And he got a shiny... Was it him? I'll read through your list now, Yoda. I just don't want to waste my sandwichy time. Just in case. Just in case. Listen, I got lucky once. I got a shiny Magikarp at the end of a sandwich. I don't know if it spawned in while the sandwich is still active or if it spawned after. But in any case, I make full use of my sandwich. Monkey? Actually, not a monkey. It's an ape. Because you don't got a tail. You really don't have to? No, but I want to. Did some headline in my life, Yoda. I asked you. I wanted to know. So obviously I'm gonna read through what you wrote. Duh! Duh, friend! Why would I ask you to type all that? You went and listed like a third of the Pokédex there. Oh, it's up now? Sanduichi is up? I think so. If those other guys are spawning, it means it's up. Yeah, okay. Arcanine, Snorlax, Ampharos, Heracross, Umbreon, Togepi, Blaziken, Spheal, Breloom. Oh, I love Breloom. As you can see, I have one in my party. Gardevoir, Staraptor, that's interesting. Luxray, Lucario, Gibble, I love Gibby, Samurott, Crocodile, Volcarona, Aegislash, Gogoat, Noivern, Pyro, Sylveon, Decidueye, Vikavolt, Mimi, I love Mimikyu also, Hakomo, Corviknight, oh, I love Toxtricity, that was one of my favorites from Sword and Shield. Urshifu, Dragapult, Pawmot, Tinkaton, Baxcalibur, and Iron Valiant. There might be more, but there you go. It makes sense. Did you like Iron Valiant? Because you also like Gardevoir. So, yeah. And Galvantula, I also really like that one. Yoda, do you want a shiny Iron Valiant? I don't know if you have one yet. I have a spare one though. This one's for Ray. Let's just move it. Where's his box? This is like either stuff I've given to Ray or gotten from Ray. Yeah. Because I asked on Twitter, I was like, should I do a giveaway? There was like no interest. So I was like, okay, never mind. You wouldn't say no? Perfect. Alright, I need to do sandwich again. There's all kinds of shit that spawn up here. I don't know if I ever came up here before, to be honest. It's such a weird spot. Bit of an annoying spot to shiny hunt as well. Okay. Let's do this shit again. Pokemon stream, hi Noah. You woke up to 4-hour load shedding? God damn. I'm gonna get load shed in like 2 hours. You misspelled Piplup a bunch of times. Oh yeah, Puggy's all about that Piplup. Staraptor won you a big prize at school? Wait, what? Like in Pokemon or? Comfy shining hunty? Yeah. We've just been a lazy shit. I got, so far I've gotten one shiny Lucario and a shiny Pawmo. I'm just using Ray's Switch to make a picnic. There was an art contest, you drew Staraptor, but steampunk form? Holy shit. I didn't know you could draw Yoda. Or that you were interested in drawing. Have I ever seen you draw anything? Oh! Thank you, Bookie. Ooh! Tasty. Thank you. Mmm. Ray brought me lunch. Sorry, I'm very slow when it comes to this part. Actually, since I'm going to be eating, maybe let me... Maybe I'll put on a video. Then I can just eat. What's for lunch, Ray? It's stew. Are we trading now? No? Did you want to trade now? I was gonna eat lunch. Also, hi Sydney, how are you? Julia had to go for an operation today. Is she okay? Let's see what other things Gordon be up to. What other nonsense? Cauliflower steak.
Now, come on, let's
Yeah,
be
fuck
honest.
it,
Who
why
doesn't
not?
love a delicious chicken? But what happens when you get a whole chicken cooked?
No, thank you, Gordon.
Right, guess what? Everyone in my house is going vegetarian. So, you know, on steak night, it can be a lonely night. So I've had to make some really smart adjustments. And this dish has been inspired by my time in California. This is an amazing cauliflower steak that will be on your table in literally 10 minutes, quicker than you can say the word vegan. Right, Oscar, pan down. Beautiful cauliflower. We're gonna take the steak, the center cut, and the rest we'll use for cauliflower and cheese, soup, puree, whatever you want to do, or even a cauliflower couscous. But that middle steak is the money shot. Beautiful almonds, caraway seeds, parsley, shallots, garlic, dill, mint, sugar, beautiful mustard, and like a herb de Provence, because we're gonna make a sort of fresh salsa verde. But first things first, let's get that steak on. Let's have 10 minutes on the clock, please. Now, hot pan, gas up. Cauliflower steak doesn't sound original, but this is going to transform the way you eat cauliflower. Put a little mark there, and a little mark that side, and what I'm trying to do is make sure I get that beautiful steak in the center. Save that for later. Keep that on there, and look, I want to come down about 1 inch thick and go all the way through, and look, that is what I want, that beautiful steak. Now, gently place that down. These little bits of cauliflower, trust me, great for cauliflower and cheese and bacon, etc. Soups, purees. Now, let's get some oil in the pan, okay? Get the gas up, okay? I want to give some really nice flavor to this cauliflower. Gently lift it up. As it starts to smoke, in she goes. Lay away from you. Keep that down there. Got to get some color on that. No color, no flavor. Even when I'm talking about cauliflower. Salt, cracked pepper, and then let's get some aromats in there. Some garlic. Doesn't need to be peeled, just literally crushed and in. Now, gently get color on that. Next pan, it's gonna be a dry pan. I'm gonna toast our spices. We've got some caraway seeds going in, okay? Some almonds going in. And this is sort of a nice, sort of fragrant toast. a nice seasoning and gives it that really nice sort of beautiful flavour. I'm going to put a little pinch of curry.
I'm muted because I'm eating.
I'm getting some colour on that now. Give it a little shake. Gently lift that up. You can just start to see the colour. How do we get more colour on there? Little knobs of butter, okay? That's going to get a really nice flavour. I've got the garlic sort of working its magic. From there, look, that smells incredible. Now, literally, lemon in. Lemon juice helps to keep it nice and white, but also
I bumped up the sound a bit.
The sort of lemon starts to puree, and this cauliflower starts to become a little bit more fragrant. I'm toasting my seeds here. That flavour and that smells incredible.
Please don't eat it, it's not a sandwich. I would never.
On the cauliflower steak, literally lift that up, turn that over, turn down the gas.
This is a steak for Hooded because he's a vegetarian.
In. Bring that back up to the boil instantly. As it starts boiling, put that lid on, and then turn that gas
That didn't
down.
have a lot of colour on it.
7 minutes to go.
Beautiful. Now, from there, I'm going to take out my beautiful almonds and curry seeds. Just let them
Nuts?
taste and sit. That's beautiful.
These
It smells
nuts?
incredible. Now, for the salsa verde. Okay, it's a very sort of acidic, delicious garnish. And it's almost better than the garnish because it's quite substantial. I'm going to chop up the shallots, not too fine, okay? Beautifully done, all the way down to the root, and then look, into the bowl. Now, from there, take your mint, and take your dill, and take your parsley, and scrunch it up, almost like a big, fat cigar. Now, just chop the herbs once. I say once because I want the freshness left in the herb. Sometimes when you over chop herbs, the board turns green. I want the green and the flavor in the salsa verde. Look, my board's clean. Look, really important because when you slice something, it starts to bleed. And I want it bleeding, sort of almost flavor coming out of those herbs into the salsa verde. Salt, pepper, and this is where it starts to go up a different level. A nice tablespoon of mustard. A nice tablespoon of brown sugar. 2
Hassan,
tablespoons of red wine vinegar.
you can't just tell people they got bad diets, man.
The olive oil.
Someone call
Now, the
Uncle
olive
Roger
oil,
to review.
don't go crazy
I don't know.
with it.
I don't know
Mix
Uncle
that
Roger's expertise in
And sort of keep it
in
quite dense
vegetarian
and thick.
steaks.
Never
I'm not gonna
really have
lie.
a salsa verde that is literally
Hooded hasn't died yet,
It's quite
and
a
he's older
nice,
than you, so I think he's
beautiful,
doing okay.
chunky, thick, rich liquid.
It's
And then, of
fact,
course,
I know, but
your
listen, you
beautiful
don't always
herbs.
have to tell people the facts.
Now, I know they're
Sometimes they
fresh
just want to
and
live their
dried
lives
herbs
the
in
way
there,
they're
but
living
as
it.
the dry herbs start to sort of rehydrate inside.
Especially if it's like religious or
It's
cultural.
amazing.
You can't just tell them, you're gonna die!
The sugar
It's a
gives
bit
it the
rough, man.
sweetness.
You gotta work on
Vinegar
that
gives it the
bedside manner
tartness,
of
and the
yours.
olive oil gives that salsa verde a really nice, rich texture.
His son is a littler baby, but not by much.
That's so good. Take some of my almonds.
If the body starts consuming his protein, that
see,
might
and
cause
just
death.
crunch them up.
No, I think Hooded is okay.
Save some on top.
I think he's well versed in being vegetarian.
Beautifully. Mix them in. Now, I need a bit of a sheen. This can be served as a wonderful sort of side dish or an actual main course. Time, please.
4 minutes.
And look, that's what I want. I want that really nice, piquant salsa verde.
Hey, you splashing, Gordon! No mess.
Now, garlic.
Garlic?
Cauliflower. Now,
That was a leaf.
here's where the magic is.
Oh, did he say
The gas is
garnish?
down.
No, I don't know what he said
The
now.
idea now is coating
I
that
could
steak.
rewind,
I've
but I
got
can't be
the
asked.
smell of the garlic, the lemon, And the bay leaves in there.
I had
Take off
beef
that
stew
lid.
and
Oh, that smell, beautiful. A touch more butter. And this is where it starts to sort of work its magic. I'm gonna whack up the gas, okay? And this is like
and
almost
rice
what we call
for lunch. It was
a
very
fondant.
tasty.
And the word fondant comes from a sheen. And we're sort of now glazing, tilting the pan and glazing this beautiful cauliflower steak.
Nay, brew, I want more color on
And
my
the
steak.
flavour is incredible. Turn that gas up. Check the seasoning.
Old by body, oh my god.
Touch more salt.
Her son has got an old body, he
Fresh
does.
black pepper. And then look.
Back from suffering outside of trash can. You left the house, Fuzzy? Why?
And just squeeze
Why would you do that to yourself?
beautiful juice over that cauliflower. The smell is incredible. Get your small knife, and it should literally just be going through the steak. And look, it's just going through.
Not on the pan, Gordon!
Tells you it's beautifully cooked.
Knife on the pan!
From there, one more final glaze. Now I'm reducing that down. The butter, the olive oil, the seasoning, the bay leaves, the garlic.
Oh,
It's
the
all on
scraping.
back.
If I get fat, I'm blaming you. No, you can blame Gordon and his
And
obsession with butter.
this steak.
Yes, it is a cauliflower steak.
Look at that.
You got boba?
Sits on
Nice.
the middle of your plate.
I'll accept that
This
reason
juice
for
in
leaving the
here
house. He
is
sounds so
incredible.
excited, but then you look at the pan.
Glaze the
Who did
steak
you're
with the
vegetarian? What the
juice.
fuck?
And then
Shut up.
this beautiful.
You're supposed to get
salsa
excited when you
verde.
see veggies.
I want it fresh. So
Why are
this
we
is-
watching Gordon? Because I was
this
eating
way
and I
over and let
didn't
it
want to
seep
leave you
through.
guys just staring at the nothingness.
Now, I don't sit down immediately and eat this.
Who
for
gonna
sort of
eat
3-4
that?
minutes.
Hooded is gonna eat
I
that.
want that salsa verde to sort of penetrate and go through from top to the bottom. That incredible, beautiful steak. Fresh, extra virgin olive oil. And then my seeds. My beautiful turkey
His
almonds.
seeds?
Oh, that is so good.
Is that what he said?
A beautiful cauliflower steak in under 10 minutes. Honestly, tonight, it makes me want to turn
I don't live with my
vegetarian.
parents anymore. I left my fasting days behind me. You'd eat that? I mean, I'd eat that too. I was vegan for several years. I would have no
To
issues
all
with
of
eating
you,
that.
Thank you for watching Ramsey in 10. If I went too quick, I apologise, but slow it down. Now, don't forget
Who
to
are
pick
you
up
telling to
Ramsey in
slow
10.
it down,
Don't be
sir?
inspired by this series. And, trust me, you're going to come out a much better chef.
Did he
And if you
sprinkle
like
his
this
seed
video,
on the food?
don't forget to
Right?
subscribe to my amazing YouTube channel for more. Good luck.
You still have to fast, Yoda? Oh no, I'm sorry. Didn't you guys hear Gordon? He said slow it down. No more fasting. Only slowing. We're only slowing here. Anyway, let us make a sandwich. We go back to this bullshit. Guys, why is my sandwich smoking again? Oh wait, what am I doing? It's the pickle one, yeah? Okay, I'm done on my side. No fasting, only slowing, exactly. Okay, so we need one of these, one of those, one of them's, no, one of them's. Thank you for the onigiris, Yoda. Two of those. I think that's it, and then it is pickles, right? For fighting, yeah. Ta-da! We're gonna make the same disgusting sandwich you made earlier, guys. So prepare yourselves. This is gonna be a really bad... Look how bad that smoke is, though. Fucking hell. I don't know why it does that. Ray said it's something to do with the co-op. It looks a little bit weird. Your team's playing. I hope they do well, Puggy. Enjoy. It might be the snow. No, because I was doing this in another area. I was doing it in a grassy area, and it was doing this as well. So, it does it everywhere. Thank you for the onigiri. I need it. When I make sandwiches like this, I need spare food, guys. Disgusting. Should we make a pickle tower on the burger? Hi Haruyuki, how are you? I'm doing good though. We've caught 2 shinies so far. Woo! Pickle tower. Woo! I can't imagine you eating this bread. Even me, Fuzzy. I could not imagine anyone eating this. This is something else. Pickle tower is complete. Okay. This is an open sandwich. So we're gonna throw this over here so it doesn't disturb the rest of the sandwich. I hate that the whole table shakes. What is going on? Is there an earthquake? Huge meat, Fuzzy? That looks like a wicked sandwich. Wicked as in like bad or wicked as in like cool? Because it's definitely a disgusting sandwich. Sorry about that. I don't know why the smoke does that, but anyway, it's fine. Sometimes order a sneaky burger on a Tuesday, but then I got caught. Look at this. Would you guys eat this burger? Or not burger. Would you guys eat this sandwich? Bad. I thought so. I was like, this is literally a terrible sandwich. I hope no one would eat this. The fucking smoke, I can't. Yeah, boy, let's go. Goodbye. Pickles and tomatoes? Yeah, it's the fighting sandwich. Sandwichy. So wait, do you have to fast every Tuesday, Yoda? Is that how that works? You're gonna make burgers and have it on Tuesdays? Oh my god! Burger Tuesdays! If Hooded ever visits us in South Africa, you gotta make him a beef burger as well. Destroy his vegetarianisms. Every Tuesday? Is there a particular reason why it's Tuesdays? Pardon my ignorance. But I am asking out of a wish to learn. You are gonna visit us? Oh shit! Yeah, you guys gotta make Hooded make him a booty burger. What shiny did you catch? I caught a shiny Pomo and a shiny Lucario. The Pomo was kind of accident because I'm here for Lucarios. But, you know, when a shiny presents itself, you don't just walk past it, right? So I grabbed myself a little shiny baby. Do you also play Pokemon, Haruyuki? Also, can I call... Haruyuki is a bit long. Can I call you Haru? Is that okay? Or Yuki? Both of those are a bit easier. What? Not this Hamgary guy running at me. So when I caught the Lucario earlier, I really should go back and make clips of those. When I caught the Lucario earlier, shit. I jumped over the mountain and it was there and I panicked. I big panicked. I do have a button for making clips, but I always forget to use it. I only think about it much later. If there's Arthi or one of the gods' birthdays. Ah, okay, so there's maybe a few occasions where you might fast. Saturdays as well? Oh my goodness. I don't have the willpower that you guys have. I couldn't do that. Maybe you're used to it because it's what you had to grow up with. I get sleepy if I don't eat, so I think I wouldn't manage. I know Ray has a problem with his metabolism's really fast, so he gets like migraines and he gets nauseous and stuff if he doesn't eat. Which is crazy because I can go the whole day without eating. But it's simply because I've forgotten to eat. It wasn't a choice to not eat. My brain just forgets to remind me that I need sustenance to survive. How do or Yuki work? Okay, perfect. I'll see which one falls more naturally. Your body temperature drops? Oh shit. Is it not quite warm in your country though, Fozzie? Would it not be nice sometimes if it's like a really hot day? If you fast? Maybe just drink lots of water. I don't know if that counts as breaking the fast, but I know when I did intermittent fasting for my fat ass, I only drank water during the fasting period. Nothing else. I feel like it's pretty hard to go without water. Especially in South Africa. In the summer, it's hot, man. Doesn't matter if it's raining. I see. That could definitely make it a bit unpleasant. You can go a whole day without eating because you forget to eat. Oh, Hassan. And you're busy here telling other people that their diets are unhealthy. Mr. 3 hours of sleep, playing League all hours of the night. You're gonna die. Not today, but someday. We're all gonna die. But you're not allowed to, none of you are allowed to die before me, so you better take care of yourselves. You better live longer lives than I do. And I've heard that small women have much longer lifespans than other people. So watch me. Watch this space. I'm gonna live forever. I'm so small, I'm gonna live forever. I'm just never gonna die. And that means none of you are allowed to die either. So take care of yourselves. Your mom made you fast on Monday, Tuesday, and Saturdays? Oh my gosh. Your dad eats beef? Wait, your dad eats beef but he's strict on fasting? Listen, it's not my position to judge. It's not my business. But what? Is it not kind of contradictory? I don't know. Fasting once a week is enough. Oh man. When exactly is that intervention? Wait, why does he need an intervention? For not taking care of himself. He needs it every day. No! I got bamboozled, you guys. I saw yellow by his feet. There's a fucking Pomo! For playing League and not taking care of himself. Okay, fair actually. We've got a lot of work ahead of us to rehabilitate her son, so yeah. Man, I thought it was a shiny Riolu. I got so excited. Fucking debated. Mostly for playing League. I mean, I do agree. I do definitely agree with that one. Not the Gallade again, bro. Who asked? Well and truly, who asked? Yoink! Every time I see those things in the distance and like over a cliff, I'm just like, Pommy? Pomo? Red baby? No. I've now technically gotten 2 shinies on this side of the mountain, so... Thank you for the onigiris. I keep getting a fright every time that goes off, because it makes like a little noise. And I'm like, did I run into something? Did something run into me? Oh, I thought I saw something else there. Bro. Truly, who asked? This is where I found the shiny Pomo. And then the shiny Lucario was just standing here, just minding his own damn business. I wish the other Pokemon would do that, mind their business. He ran away from me, in fact. He was so interested in minding his own business that he ran away from me. He was like, I do not want to be a part of this shiny hunt. Goodbye. Goodbye, bitch. Oh, wow. Whoops. Wait. No better feeling than minding your business, right? To be fair, I like minding other people's business, but only like to know it, not to be involved. I don't want to be involved in other people's business. I just want to know what's happening. I'm nosy. And I like other people's drama, not my own. Miss me with that shit. You like the gossip? It's like a modern newspaper, well and truly. Like, tell me the goss, but don't involve me in the scandals. Leave me out of that. I'm not even surprised that you're like that, Fozzie. I'm not surprised, not even slightly. Nothing about what you just said was surprising. I'm just like, yeah, that sounds about right. So sick. From the interaction that we've had, Fuzzy, I think I got a pretty good grip on your personality. I know you, Fuzzy. Not for long, but I know you. You're a Virgo? Oh my god, I don't know what that means. I mean, I know it's the star sign, but I don't know what that means outside of that. The only signs that I know and vaguely understand would be Scorpio, because that's what I am. And Leo. One of my besties is a Leo. Puggy's a Pisces. I'm pretty sure she's a Pisces. Now I doubt myself. But I'm pretty sure she was a Pisces. Just because she hates fish, and I was like, wow, she got played by her star sign. We all know you? Yeah. Don't even need to know Fozzie for that long to know Fozzie. Fuzzy educates you very, very swiftly on what he's all about. You just need to spend one stream with Fuzzy, and then you know. An open book. I say I'm an open book. Fuzzy's not even a book. Fuzzy is the pile of pages that gets thrown at you. That is Fuzzy. No, not a page. You're a whole stack of pages, and no one has a quiet moment to read through the pages. They literally just get thrown straight at you. The entire stack of pages just gets thrown at you, and then you know Fuzzy. You don't even need to waste time reading the pages. They just get you absorb through what, osmosis. Is that not how we all got to know Fuzzy though? Tenanda yo. Bro, he's even running at me. Can you let me save first? Please be serious. I'm not saved twice, thank you. Hello? Where the fuck did he go? Huh? Huh? What? Did it despawn? What the? How much time do I have on the sandwich? No. Ah, fuck. No, but what happened to that other one? Wait, I need to Google this. It was a fucking shiny. Wait. I need to be right back. Don't worry, I was just shouting. Okay, so what happened was... Hassan, you're a skill issue. Your body is a skill issue. Your eyes are a skill issue. English skill issue. What else can I roast you about? Cooking skill issue. League skill issue. I'm fighting fire with fire today, Hassan. In any case, I was pretty sure it was a shiny. And it disappeared. I saved, and it disappeared. And I was like, nay, bro. Arabic skill issue as well, yes. It disappeared as I was saving, Yoda. And so I was like, do I reset the game to double check? So I ran to Ray, who's sitting in a meeting, and I was like, I have a question. And he pauses what he was, or like he paused the other guy just to like ask, just to see what I wanted. And I said to him, I was like, I think I saw a shiny, but it despawned as I saved. And he's like, no, just reload. It should be there. You'll lose your sandwich, but it's okay. Anyway, I'm a fucking menace. But at least it was actually a shiny. Anyway, guys, a shiny Holucha. Fucking green and purple? I'll take that. Oh my god. At least it's still there, right? What does the shiny do? Ooh, crit catch. It does nothing, Hassan. It's exactly the same as any other Pokemon in the game. I mean, it could have good stats, but the chances, I would say, are low. What? There we go. It's just a flex, very simply. Fuck off, you piece of shit bug. I hate these things. They're like trophies. Yeah, basically. They take a long time to find. What the? They fly? What? I am stunned. Those things fly? I need to redo my sandwich now, so you guys get to watch me make a fucking monstrosity again. Listen, I can tell you now, guys, for free, for no monies, that the fighting sandwich has been doing me good. Well and truly. Because I've already gotten a few shinies from it, so hold on. Since we don't have sandwich up currently, we can go look. They're flying type? No ways, man. That's so weird. Anyway, let me move this guy into my shiny box. Okay, so today, so far, we got this little pink baby who I wanted to change their name. I'll do it later. So yeah, we got this pink little baby. Very cute. We got this lemon. And now we got the Holucha as well. That is mad shit, yo. They're both fighting types, which is why they popped up. But actually, I'm farming this one. And then these are all just... These are ones I'm going to build up for raids, I think. How many? So, Hassan, there's one shiny variant for every Pokemon. So every single Pokemon has got a shiny version. I don't have all of them, obviously. This is the game, the new Pokemon game. I think it came out last year. So I only have... $14? Yes, there's 1,008 shinies. Every version of a Pokemon has a shiny. So you see in the picture, on the small picture, it's orange, but it's gold when it's shiny. This one is blue normally, but it's green when it's shiny. This one is unbaked dough. That one is baked dough. I hope you collect them all. Oh, Hassan, I could never. I know there's people out there who do it, but I could never. To have a shiny for everything? No ways. There are some shinies that look exactly the same as the non-shiny. Yoda, can I introduce you to one of my proudest catches? This guy's a shiny. Could you tell? Could you tell that he's a shiny? I was showing everyone the picture of it earlier. Sorry, I'm just doing stuff on racing. I have a picture of it in the water next to a non-shiny. There we go. I hate it here. There is such a little difference in the pink, but when you see them next to each other, you know immediately. You can tell. Slightly less pink, exactly. Have you seen the shiny Gengar? I have heard. I haven't seen it, but I have heard it's very similar in shade. What is fucking Meowth's evolve called? Because I'm honestly like drawing a blank. I can't think of what it's called. Hi, Chris. How are you doing? Oh, Persian. Thank you. For fuck's sakes. The whole time I've been sitting here. Because Ray's got a shiny. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit called? Guys, fucking shiny Holucha. I was like so panicked about it. I didn't take a screenshot or nothing when I saw it. It was just straight up panic. So fucking cool though. God damn! That's cool. I love that so much. Anyway, food and drink. Pookie portal. Should have been purple. At least the evolve is purple. So really, it could be worse. You guys get to watch me make a fucking horrific sandwich now. Because I had to reset my game. Because there was a shiny that despawned. At least now I know what to do next time. Jesus Lord, that took forever. Nice. Bam 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 bam. Bam 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 bam. I love this music. Let us. You can't ride Koraidon here. What the fuck, bro? You can't tell me what to do. I mean, technically you can, but you shouldn't. You should mind your own fucking business. Oh my god. I'm having a skill issue trying to set up a picnic, guys. What do you mean there's not enough space, bro? Huh? Now I'm on a slope and it's gonna complain. Okay, finally. Chris, are you doing good, homie? Are you surviving in this weather? Oh, Jesus. That gave me a fright. Did not see that guy there. Heard a little rumor that Shenhe is next update. Ooh, in the second half, right? I have saved 180 wishes thus far. So if she don't be coming home anytime soon, I might cry. Just saying. I want to show you guys Yoda's shiny Pokemon. He should honestly have more shiny Pokemon in his party to flex, but there's his shiny Shroomish, or not Shroomish, Breloom. There's my non-shiny one. There's his shiny Persian and Croco Birdie. What is he called? Coco's evolve, I don't know. Oh, make a sandwich. Make a sandwich. Let's get cooking. There's clouds by you? I saw there was some clouds. It's a little bit cloudy today. It was quite nice, actually. Cookie for her son? Why is Cookie get her son? Why does the son get a cookie? Where's mine? I cannot believe the fucking shiny Holucha. Bro, fucking jump scared me. Hi, Nabibbles. Yeah, where's my cookie? Yoda? Onion? Green pepper? One hamburger? And pickles. We go 2 pickles. Then we go Herba Mystica. And a silver pick. Nom 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 nom. Hutao cookie. The Hutao cookie is for hooded though. Hutao cookie for hooded. The last 3 Dendroculi are the most beautiful place in Genshin, and I don't want to take anything from there. Ah, take pictures. Take pictures. Popcorn for the bubbles. Imagine, this friend of mine has no right to be so cute. And here he is sharing all his food. Oh man, I want a sippy emote so badly. Oh! Bro, please, give me peace, man. Okay, we're gonna play it safe. I don't want to fuck with that tomato on the side there. Doesn't this look fucking delicious, guys? Oh man, all of that onion on that one singular tomato. Ooh. Super tasty. Mmm, yum yum yum. Tomato and green pepper, I'd rather die. Ah! Okay, we're gonna make pickle tower on the burger again. Hopefully this doesn't fuck anything up. Oh no! Stop it! Fuck. I'm very bad at building towers. You gotta do the world quest and unlock that place. I will eventually. I'm busy with it. This is too stressful. Sorry, Yoda. I need to clip the disaster sandwich from earlier that I made. So as I put like the last thing on Yoda, I put the bread, the top of the bread, it knocked the plate and everything got yeeted into space. Why is there an earthquake? Why is everything shaking? Yeah, it was wildly amusing, I'm not gonna lie. Would you guys eat the sandwich? Does it look good? Does it look yummy? This is a reasonable looking sandwich. Yeah? Oh, I see one of the onions fell through the bottom. All of this raw onion is too spicy for this white girl. There we go. Why are you guys laughing? What's funny? Have you also been shiny hunting, Yoda? Have you gotten anything nice? Oops. Yoink. Mayonnaise spicy. What? Nay, brew. Only the crackerest of crackers would say that. Mayonnaise, at the very most generous, you would say some mayonnaise could be tangy. Like, you know? Spicy! What spice? What spice goes into mayo? I'm just asking. I will say though, if you buy paprika from the spice shop, it tastes wildly different from the white people paprika you buy, like Robertson's. That's not the same thing. Spicy mayo, yeah. Sriracha mayo. White people, yeah. By white people, I mean people who can't handle spice. But people always make jokes like, ah yes, white people can't eat spicy food. You know? They stole the world's spices and don't know how to use them. Can't eat them. Don't know how to use them. I'm allowed to say that. I'm a white person, yeah? And anyone who had their spices stolen, they're also allowed to say that. I like spicy food. My body just doesn't. It's like, no, 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 why are you eating this? Why does it hurt? And I'm like, it's good. It's good to hurt. I was watching something. What was it? Oh, it was a what is it called? K-drama. Why do these all look fucking pink now? No, stop it. The guy was eating like some spicy noodle thing. And he's like, it's so good when you eat it, but it hurts when it comes out the other end. What is paprika made of? Paprika is red bell pepper. Capsicum. It's not supposed to have spice, but I think they put other stuff in it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's very different. If you buy the one, like if you just go to Pick and Pay and you buy like paprika there, it's just supposed to be like roasted bell peppers or some shit. So it's got zero spice, but it's quite sweet. I put it in everything. But the one time I bought it from a spice shop and it was a little bit spicy. It was still fucking tasty though. Fordsburg? I don't know. Is that a shop or is that a place? Paprika just means bell pepper? Yeah. It's a red bell pepper specifically. If it's the like spice. The spicy spice. We can dry apples and turn them into apple spice. I mean, ain't nothing stopping you. I just don't think they have much of a flavor. But you can turn anything into a powder with that same method. There ain't nothing stopping you, Nabibbles. I don't think that's how it works. I mean, technically yes, but functionally, what would you use apple spice for? Look at all those chickens. Why are they all blue? You want rice? Rice waffle? What's a rice waffle? Is it as the name implies, it's a waffle made out of rice? I saw someone made a burger with fries, so they put a whole heaping pile of fries in the waffle maker. It's a mini Smeru in Joburg? Really? Apple spice as an ice cream top? Okay, that could be good. Using apple spice, you probably use sugar. Wait, why would you need to use sugar? Just if you dehydrate and blitz the apples, you could make it apple spice. You don't need to put sugar in there. Apples are sweet. Well, I guess depends on what kind of apple you use as well. Chang! Oh, the result's probably the same as sugar. You have sweet powder. Yeah, but it's sweet apple flavored powder. Grape sugar? Wait, what the heck is grape sugar? Sugar just made from grape juice? Question mark? Potato waffle thing seems like a good idea. Except the NPCs aren't white. Oh, Yoda! Can't believe you made me read that out loud. I'm sitting here trying not to laugh. Oh my god. You need to get lunch and you don't know what to get? Is it hot by you or... Okay, to be fair, it's a little bit warm by me now, but I had beef stew with rice and that fucking hit the spot. Oh. They're so tasty. I bought the last time I went to Kokoro, I bought these like stew cubes, these like Japanese, you know, like this Japanese curry, they have a stew one as well that I bought because I just wanted to test it out and see what it's like. Oh, it's so tasty. So good. Ray just wants me to make the Japanese curry now all the time. It's like his favorite. It's also called glucose. Oh, I was about to say, wait, glucose is in all fruits. Or isn't that fructose? Is fructose not from fruits? Glucose is just sugar. Because you get lactose as well, and that's the sugar in milk. And that's the thing that... What the fuck? Bro, give me peace! Come on, man. So you're saying there might be an El Ham Ham over there? Wait, what? In Mini Sumeru? Unlikely. Unlikely. I'll tell you that now for free. Sorry to burst your bubble. Fructose is pentose? Oh, you guys are getting way too technical for me. You're just adding more oses. Oh, you're El Ham Ham? Okay, that's fine then. Apparently we have our own El Ham Ham. Oh my god. There's more, but wait, there's more. Dun, dun, dun. I'm so glad I reset to check that that thing was shiny, because it was fucking shiny. My god. That was stressful. I want to cosplay Ham Ham because he's pretty, but I'm way too twinkish. Listen, if I can cosplay Yai Miko, who's a whole ass goddess, hot mama, and I'm a itty bitty chibi, Mao, you can do the thing. Just do it. Motherfucking do it. Woo, you guys are making up words now. Whoops. Same, Mosen. It's also making me comatose. I'm very sleepy. I have no idea what's going on anymore. My brain's gonna switch off in a moment. I've had 3 shinies on that one side. I just realized now. All of my shinies have been on the other side of the mountain. And yet I still come here expecting anything to be different. Ugh. Gross. If I get another shiny Lucario this side, I'm gonna cry. Tears of joy. There's a lot of Horluchas there though. You gotta go, Yoda. No worries. Have a lovely day, friend. Choo, 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 choo. Have I been shiny hunting this fuck for 3 hours now? To be fair, I've gotten 3 shinies so far, so it's not bad. You still play Valheim? So Jargon and I were having issues. We were having issues off stream because for whatever reason his connection kept dropping. Not again, you asshole! Guys, what is this? Server issue? I don't know. I don't know what exactly the issue was, but basically, like, every couple of minutes, Jargon would get disconnected, and it was very oh, Jesus! It was very dangerous because we were, like, running through a strong area, and he would keep getting disconnected. So I'd be standing by myself. It's unenjoyable, right? So we kind of gave up for a little bit. I don't know if it's gotten better. I mentioned it to him. Yes, crit catch, thank you. Fuck. This bitch gonna roll down the hill. Okay, make that 4 shinies. I can give one of these to Ray. If he wants one. Okay, it is on the shiny box. Yeah, we've gotten 4 shinies. Guys, am I gonna become a Pokemon channel? I just sit here every day and shiny hunt Pokemon, chat shit. Ain't gonna do nothing else. Oh, how much sandwich I have left? Oh, I still have like half a sandwich left. We're good. Maybe I get a shiny baby also. "69% Sumeru Desert." Wait, all of it or just the new section? You lost your feeling to play games? Like, do you mean just lately? Be gentle with yourself, Hassan. Take it easy. Take it day by day. Oh, just the new one? Nice. I've only done a little bit of exploration. I mean, I was exploring yesterday. Freaking Horluchas, man. How I got 2 of them already? Did not want. To play for longer than 2 hours? It's fine, Hassan. I always understand what you're saying. You don't need to worry. I'll only tease you if you say skill issue. That's when I'll tease you. The rest of the time I can figure it out. But also, do you just get tired after 2 hours? Are you eating enough, Hassan? Did you ever learn to cook something simple from your auntie? Because I think she needs to teach you something easy to make. I would say one of the best things to learn how to make is like a soup or a stew, because those things, they're really good for you. They've got lots of nutrients. You can put whatever you like in it. You can leave out whatever you don't like. Like me, for a stew, it's very simple. Carrots, onions. Oh, that's a lot of pommies. Carrots, onions, potatoes, and the meat. And then obviously seasonings. Skill issue. We tried, but it failed. You tried noodles. Okay, I mean noodles can be good as well, but you must add things to the noodles. You mustn't just have the noodles by themselves. Fry an egg, have some, I would say like cold meat or something, or a sausage, like, do you guys have Viennas? I doubt that's a South African thing, but like any kind of like processed meat that doesn't really need to be cooked, it just needs to be heated up. That's pretty good, just so that you have something. And And some veggies. You don't like egg with noodle? Oh my god, his son. Maybe not. I have a feeling there's several animals involved in making a Vienna anyway, so maybe some people wouldn't be too Gucci with them. Why so many Lucario? I see so many Lucario everywhere, but I do not see the yellow one. Where is he? Just sausages? I mean, yeah. But I mentioned like the processed meats are typically not good for you. But I think if the option is to eat nothing instead, then it's good enough, you know? It's just high, like, it's high in sodium, which is why you wanna just be careful. But, yeah. You don't wanna eat egg? Eat it on the side then. Eat the noodles and then eat the egg separately. You wanna eat lamb? Yeah, look. Lamb is very, very expensive in South Africa, so we don't really eat it that often, or ever really. I don't think I ever buy lamb, actually. The only time we really have lamb is at Ray's parents' house, and it's because his dad really likes lamb. So if we have lamb, it's because we're having lamb with him. But yeah, it is very expensive meat here. Your dad buys a whole lamb? Also, it's lamb with a B at the end. If you put the P at the end, it means, like a light. So you eating a light. You're eating the light bulb. There we go. You see, that's why I say I understand what you're saying, Hassan. You don't have to change it. I just don't want other people being mean to you. Like Hooded. Hooded's teasing my boy. I'll knock you out, Hooded. If you come to South Africa, but you mock you, my boy. Lamp is nice as well. I love lamp. It's cheap? Oh man. So for us, I think some of our cheaper meats would be like chicken. And I think pork, maybe? I don't know about the pork. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think pork's expensive though. Beef, depending on what beef you get, can be quite expensive. I'm a little bit fussy when it comes to like making stews and soups and pies and stuff. If I'm using beef, there's a specific cut of beef that I want. And it's a little more pricey. But it's cheap. Damn. No. No! I can't believe you've done this. And I'll bop you as well, Dan. If you ever come to South Africa. You know those little kids' toys, those little hammers that squeak? I'll just go whack you over the head with it. You were confused? I was for a second. I was like, no, he was talking about lamb. And then I see the message he replied to. Motherfucker. That was a good one, though. I mean, some people would pronounce it that way. Depending on their accent. Why are there so many Horluchas everywhere? I am not even surprised that I got 2 of these little fucks. Well and truly. How is it already 1:15, bro? Where has the time gone? Where? Thank you, thank you. I'm trying to decide. Maybe Yuki. I feel like Yuki's cute. Thank you for the onigiri, Yuki. Why is his son gone quiet now? Because his Habibi was teasing him. These stinky holuchas, honestly. But yo, the fighting sandwiches definitely been doing me good. Like, damn, homie. Damn. Whoop. This is the spot. This guy here is where my first shiny Lucario was. And then both Holuchas. The first one was here, and then the second one was here. And where that Holucha is there, that's where my shiny Pomo was. I've gotten a lot of shinies this stream. However, there's only one I need. There's only one I need. Welcome back, Hassan. Leave Dan, don't leave us. Just leave Dan, it's okay. Sheep and lamp? Cow, camel? You eat camel? What does camel taste like? Is it good? Do you eat pork, or is it like not allowed or frowned upon? Pork? Yeah, it's pork with a B. Bork is a dog. It's rare and expensive. Ah. It's haram? Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I wasn't sure. I don't know, man. I heard his son was holding his girlfriend's hand, so... That seems not allowed. Camel tastes kind of like beef. From what experience, Hooded? You ain't eaten the single animal your whole life. What are you talking about? Holding hands, right? Put him in jail. Tastes like any other meat, but it's not as good as cow. Ah, okay. I mean, I would try it. No holding hands before marriage? Exactly. Hassan, explain. And he went to her house the other day as well. Someone call the police. He's breaking the law. Whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. Nyum. Nyum, 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 nyum. Boop. What else? Ray wanted me to shiny hunt something else for him. What was it? Oh, Iron Hands. And... what was the other one? Apparently the Delibird, like, special version in this game is the fastest Pokemon now. He is Sonic fast. You gonna Loki's? No worries, Hooded. Of course. Always. Thank you for the lurks. Yes. Scream, little baby. Not me looking at more holichas. Just in case, you know, I get another fucking shiny. My eyeballs are getting dry because I'm not blinking enough. Oh my god. You blink, you might miss something. Yes, squeaky babies. I see you there. I just don't want to. I'm blinking! Oh, you see what happens when I blink? I run into this is why I don't blink. God damn it, Dan. Take responsibility. Oh my god, look what you've done. Take responsibility, Dan. This is what happens when you tell people to blink. Never blinking again. Is that a motherfucking shiny? That's a motherfucking shiny. Hello! Boy! Let's motherfucking go! I got him! Let's make sleep. I almost seed bombed his ass. I would have cried. But we don't have autosave on for a reason, so you know, it's okay. A quick ball might have been nice. Do I try a quick ball foray? Let's try. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, then it's okay. Oh! Damn it! No, why did you wake up? Bone rush! Sorry, that was loud. Neighbor, relax. I kind of still want to try for the quick ball, to be honest. Ray likes to match the ball to the Pokemon. But I should have used the quick ball in the beginning of the encounter. I guess I could restart, but... Let me just try. We're doing foolish things here. Oh, quick catch! Yes, boy! This one is for Ray. This is Ray's baby. I wonder if it has a title, because that would be also be very cool for him. Yes! Yes, 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 yes! I wonder, can I check here? Doesn't have any. Yeah, we don't have any titles for today. That's fine though. How much time do we have? Oh! Wait, the sandwich was up? The sandwich was finished? Whoops. Sorry, guy. Let's just have a quick sneak peek over the mountain, see if there's anyone here before we say goodbye. Oh! Jesus, that gave me a fright. Giant pink marshmallow. if this hadn't taken me 3 hours 20 minutes to, well, I guess more closer to 3 hours. 3 hours of shiny hunting this fuck. I would have like hunted an extra one, but I cannot be asked. Could not. What the fuck is that? Is that his tail? It looked like a berry. That was weird. Okay. I don't know if I want to... Well, let's actually see what the map has. Because I could maybe do one more shiny hunt before the power's gonna go zoop. There's little ruffles. Ooh, Slowpoke. Slowpoke's kind of not a fun one to shiny hunt though, to be fair. Because he looks very same. I might just reset and see if I can get something else. Swablu would be cool because they look really different and they're really pretty, especially as an Altaria. But I don't think we're gonna get much utility out of them. Yeah, I think I'm okay with having one Slowpoke shiny. Okay, let's see if we can get anything cool. I might have to just finish the sandwich off stream. If we don't get something. By the time things reset. Or by the time the electricity goes off. Which is what I meant to say, but you know, words are hard. Noibat! Oops. There's a Shapup. I have one of those in Pokemon Go. Holding hands, it's okay. You're allowed to hold hands? Okay. Can I call your mom just to confirm? Just to ask her? I don't know your laws. I gotta double check, Hassan. Do you want a vroom vroom? Or a glimmet? A seed? Bui bui? I'm just making random noises right now. If anyone's here and they don't know Pokemon, this is probably fucking weird. There's 3 outbreaks here? Neighbor. Where? This is so cock. I'm not doing Flittle again. I already had enough of that. Thank you very much. Honestly though, 3 hours to fucking shiny hunt one Pokemon is pretty mad shit. Oops. Man, looking at Pokemon Cafe makes me want to play it again. Oyster? Love Disc. Wattrel. Ray's got one of those. Miss Medius. Bonzong. I'm not finding anything that I want to shiny hunt. Meryl. Oh wait, that's weird. It reset while I was on it. Grumpig? No, no. Oh, that could be pretty. I actually don't know what they look like shiny. Oh, yes! We're gonna go do that one, boys. Oh, Hoopa! Shiny Hoopa! I'm conflicted now. The only thing is that this one could potentially be very fucking annoying because these things dive under the water, but you have to like basically hunt them in the water. I might go to Woopapapa. I feel like Woopapa will be a lot less frustrating to do. Okay, let's try and set this up. I'm definitely gonna run a bit over time with the shiny hunt, but it's okay. Oh, sorry if you heard that. That was just my back breaking in half. Whee! Whoop, up, 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 up. Just waiting for Ray's game to load in. There are mass outbreaks occurring. Wow. Sorry, I have to load in Ray's Switch. You're gonna send your mother's name? Your mother's number in DMs? Oh, Hassan. You're a menace. Actually a menace. Ow. Okay, so what am I hunting? Woopapa? What type is a Woopapa? I've forgotten what his actual name is. Oh, it's just Paldean Wooper? I call him Pooper, so I've forgotten what his actual name is. Because he's brown! Okay, so Poison Ground. Never seen this side of you? Wait, what side, Shinigami? What side of me? Look at all the shiny babies there. I think maybe let's make it poison. The real you and all of your green-haired goodness. This is the real me. What you talking about? Bam, 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 bam. Okay, so we're gonna do green peppers. Oh no, not that. This one. Onion. Green peppers. Hamburger. I think that's everything. Yeah. Ciao. Also, you don't know what menace means? Hassan, a menace is like a troublemaker. You're a troublemaker, Hassan. You're here to cause trouble. You'll see Hooded. Hooded says it a lot. There's an emote. Fozzie has a menace emote. Oof. Oof. That was a bit dicey. It's still making the smoke shit. It's fine. We're barbecuing, right? Mmm, tasty. Oh! Oh! Can't see shit. No! Okay, I'm gonna continue to make it. Oh! It respawned. Oh, it's still showing on mine that it's on there. It hasn't fallen off on my screen. Oh no, on Ray's screen it's still there. I'm so confused. It's technically there, but it's also not. So I'm looking at Ray's Switch, which is sitting just in front of me, and it's still on the burger. Or it's on the sandwich. This is one rough burger. Would you not eat it, Shinigami? You don't like green peppers? Same, but... Okay, we're gonna throw this very far away. Oh, the pepper teleported back onto the burger, or onto the sandwich. Ta-da! All done! Does that look tasty, guys? Would you eat this? Oh, beautiful. I always take screenshots. I can't on this one, obviously, but I always take screenshots of these really disgusting looking sandwiches that we make. Oh, Senjin, thank you for the onigiri. You wouldn't eat it, Hassan? Look at that shit. Nasty. I would have to eat so much to get to the burger. You'd be full before you got to it. I'll put the burger next time. Next time we do shiny hunting, I'll put the patty on the end for you. I would eat it if you made it for me. Oh, Hassan. No. If someone makes you such a nasty sandwich, start to question your friendship with them. Okay, this is gonna be our last shiny hunt. We're looking for a shiny pooper. I mean whooper. Chaldean whooper. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop. Where's the closest? Probably here. Not if I get it. Oh, so you would only eat it if I made it for you. See, but I don't hate you, so I wouldn't make you eat something like that. Uh-oh, if Ray comes in here, he's gonna see my cold coffee again. Yosh. Let's go. And I also need to take my old lady pearls. But it's got a child lock on it, and I'm like, why? How can I be old lady and a child at the same time? Please be serious. What? There's spicy Pokemon here. Let me just yoink up this way. More spicy Pokemon. Old lady usually have children in the house. You know what? That's fair. That is fair. It's me. I am simultaneously the child and the granny. Because I can't open the bottle, but also, oh shit! Oh my god, it's a little baby! Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't open the bottle, but I also can't swallow pills. Ugh. I think it's this mud pipe. What the fuck was that? Oh, there's Psyducks going over the edge of the waterfall. Little dummies. Bless their little hearts. Okay, guys. Mass outbreak of poopers. That's not a pooper. In any case. That's what we're looking for. But we're looking for a very distinctly purple one. And I believe the bones on their heads are white. As opposed to that color. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so the shiny one will be purple. Those are all baby traits. I am baby and grandma same time. If I roll out of bed in the morning, my hips sound like a box of Rice Krispies. Oh, they're so fucking cute though. I love them. Not the little toxels over there making me think I'd already found one, but okay. You know, this is fine. I actually don't know where they spawn in this area, but I think this is fine. Oh, yes, I thought there was another one there, because it's fucking purple, bro. It's gonna give me a... And that giant Psyduck down there. You gotta go see the doctor? No worries. I hope it's a good visit. I hope you're doing alright. Whee! His son's gonna be our doctor in the future. Because he's studying very hard to be a good doctor. Ayo, gonna sneak in some Genshin? Hell yeah. You're alive? Same. That doesn't mean you're good though. I know that's the joke you were making. I hope. Oh, fun. I wonder how obviously purple they are in the overworld. They're all over in here. Look how teeny tiny some of them are. Oh my god. Give me a shiny pooper. Itty bitty shiny pooper. Nope. Maybe I should have done ground type instead. At least these things are not aggressive, so they're not gonna run at me. I think even the toxels won't run at me. They might come and look at me though. You're actually a ghost? Ooh. Uh-oh. We got a ghosty goo in the chat. That's what's gonna happen, Hassan. If you don't take care of your patients, they're gonna haunt you. They're gonna become ghosty goos. While you're playing League of Legends, they're gonna press the wrong button for you. And they're gonna make you lose the game. So in order to have peace, make sure you treat people. Make them better. Dan is a ghost? Oh fuck. Not yet, Dan. It's too early to be a ghost. Go back. Always pressing flash? Exactly. They're gonna press all your things on cooldown, but at the wrong time. Oh, Ice Fang. She says, not knowing what that attack is. They are so fucking cute. Ugh. You're an old ghost. Why? How long have you been a ghost for? Is he eating? Nay, brew. Oh, he was eating, but I fumbled the keys. Oh, that's fine. You can say this after 30 years when you're actually old. Yeah, Hassan's very quick to tell us off when we're not, when he thinks we're not old. Come tell my hips that, Hassan, because they believe that they're 65. They are at retiring age already. My hips do not want to work anymore. Look at all these little poopers. Oh, they're so cute. Hip skill issue? Definitely. I don't know what's wrong with them. They make so much noise when I get out of bed. Do you know Rice Krispies, Hassan? You don't. It's a cereal. It's breakfast. But when you put the milk in the cereal, it makes like popping noises. So it's just like when I roll out of bed in the morning, my whole body pops. Sometimes I stretch and there's like at the top of my spine somewhere, there's like something that makes a pop noise as well. Cocoa Pops, yes, it's like Cocoa Pops. Exactly. So you put the milk in it, it makes all that noise. That's my body in the morning when I wake up. I roll out of bed and it's just Cocoa Pops. These guys look like little Cocoa Pops. But we don't want Cocoa Pops, we want the berry. We want the purple one. Snap, crackle, pop, exactly. But I don't have any pain. There's no pain. When did this start? Oh, I have no idea. It's been happening for a while. A few years, I think. But I don't have back pain anymore. Since Ray gave me his chair. I don't have back pain anymore, so that's nice. I cannot stress this enough. If you're a gamer, don't buy a gamer chair. Do not. Do not waste your money. Instead, spend that money. Oh shit, I didn't even see that guy there. Spend your money on a nice ergonomic chair. Your back will thank you for it. Popping sound without pain is okay. Oh, perfect. On Genshin pulls, I mean, listen. Depends what you value more. Your account or your back. I reckon you should value your back more. You had an IKEA one? What, like a gamer chair? Oh, what, like an an ergonomic chair and it ruined your back? Oh my goodness. Bought a gaming chair after and very happy with it? No ways. Oh, office chair? Oh, okay. I feel like pretty like standard office chairs, like ones that you would have like in an office, like actual office chair. I don't think those ones are too great. I remember when I used to work in an office, like my first job out of university, my butt would be so sore every day because I would sit and work for like a 4-hour, 5-hour block before I could get up and go for break. And then I would spend another like 4 or 5 hours. It was depending if I was working an 8 or 10-hour shift. Oh, man. My butt was so sore every day from those chairs. I actually worked at the same place as Puggy for a little while. And she stayed there a lot longer than I did. I don't know how she did it. She mad as shit, yo. You sit on the ground? Does that mean, Hassan, does that mean that you hunch over to look at your books and stuff? Or do you like sit up and hold your books? Or your notes or whatever you read through? Ooh, Herman Miller. Are you made of money, Dan? Do you poop gold nuggets every morning? No, I'm joking. I've heard that they're like, I think it's that one. That or there's another brand that has a fancy name that are supposedly some of the best chairs. But they definitely come with a pretty steep price tag. I think gamer chairs are definitely, by a long shot, better than office chairs. But if you had or have back pain, I don't know. I feel like a good chair can help a lot with that. Because yeah, like I said, I don't really have back pain anymore. You wouldn't spend... Okay, I don't know how much that is in my monies, but yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of money. I know that those things are expensive. But hey man, if you can. I've heard they're really good. Especially for old man backs, Dan. $700? Woo! That's a lot of dollars for a chair, goddamn. Old man backs, yeah. I guess old woman backs as well. Old people, it's good for old people backs. Don't damage it further. Do a protect. Seriously, because especially if you spend a lot of time at your PC, either playing games or working, which are both things that you do. Do you suffer from any back pain? Oh, damn. They're expensive because they come with a lifetime policy. Oh, really? So if your chair breaks or anything, and it's not you just being a silly bugger, they like replace or something? I don't know what brand this chair is that I'm using, but I know that Ray did have an issue with it. And they come to you to like check it out or repair it or whatever. So if there's any problems with it, they'll also come. I don't know if it's lifetime though. Whose lifetime? The chair or you? Just casually put like a little poison dart in the chair so that the the person doesn't live for very long if they use it. That's what you paid for your GP. Damn. So you gotta make a choice. You want your butt to be comfy? Or do you wanna play things that look nice? Oh, Hassan's gonna give you a massage. Oh my. You want both? I mean, you can have both if you want. I'm not saying you have to pick one or the other. If you got the money for it, do it. Comfy butt and comfy eyes? Go for it. Especially for them old man eyes. I need to end the stream. How much time do I have left? I still have 15 minutes left on this thing. I don't want to risk stream borking though, so I'm just gonna quick see if there's someone that we can raid. What do you mean ending? My power's going off soon, Hassan. You know it's not a choice, you know it's not something I want to do. I would happily sit here for several more hours chatting shit with you all. But yeah, I don't want to risk like stream breaking again because I hate when that happens. It's very annoying. Oh, did I get chased by something? There's a 12-year warranty? Damn it. God damn. Alright, I think... Am I getting chased by something? I just hear noises. But I can't see that tab currently. Alright, either way, let us get that raid message. You guys know the drill. Maybe you've heard this rant before. Well, not rant quite, but... That's basically a lifetime. You're gonna be dead by then? No! Don't be saying such things. But yes, all the love in your hearts. We're gonna go... Let's see, let's see... Oh, actually, I haven't been able to raid this person. So... I know she raided me recently. So she is playing Stream Raiders. She's probably chilling, vibing with people. Her name is Hailstorm. She's a wonderful streamer from South Africa. There we go. Yeah. We're gonna take all our love to Hailstorm. Please be good, everyone. I will see you guys tomorrow. The load shedding is looking really bad for tomorrow, so I'll have to see when I can stream. But yeah, thank you all so much for the company. We caught a lot of shinies today, and it was fun to hang out with you guys. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Go eat something, go drink something, go stretch your legs. I'll see you. Bye 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 bye. Bye bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Oh, I forget you guys can't see me now. Okay, bye guys. Bye Dan. Bye Hassan. I know Mama's here as well. Bye 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 bye.